Cool. What? All right, everybody. So that is always an important message. If you see something, say something. On this channel, we are interested in doing several things. And one of them, of course, is finding the truth, moving towards justice for victims, peace for victims' families and friends, and just putting a message out there to notice things when they're happening. Like in the Watts case, for example, I always say, in my opinion, you can tell that they were a family in crisis. And you wonder if anybody said anything to this family, the family members of the family who was clearly in crisis before an absolute tragedy occurred. So if you see something, say something. So I hope everybody had a really great Memorial Day. Oh, this is a little crooked. This can drive me nuts. It's like my pineapple lamp. Oh, well, it's all right. And Kelly's got wet hair again. Edward, if you're here, I'm sure you're going to like that. And yeah, I hope you all had a great weekend. Anyone up to anything good this weekend? I certainly hope so. Today on Memorial Day, what did I do? I made a video and I cleaned my rugs and I took care of my bunnies and did some laundry. Nothing exciting whatsoever. I got a little bit of sunshine and I hope that you all did too. So can I just have a sound check from you guys? Can everybody hear the audio okay? Let me know if the audio is okay. I only have one earbud in, so I can't fully tell. Let's see here. Hey, Midge, how's it going? Hey, Tracy Wheeler. Hey, Rosie. Hey, Maria R. Welcome. How are you doing? Who else is here? Hey, Kay Braze. It's always great to see you. My girl, Jeannie. DC Primetime. Thank you, moderators who are here. I really appreciate you. Ara, Jody is cool. I'm so glad that you could make it. Hey, Tony Martinis. I love that. How are you doing? Welcome. Glad that you're here. Brandy Wine and True Crime. It's really nice to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. And thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate that too. Honeybon, my girl. Nice to see you. Also, let's see. Who else is here? Who did I see? Go up a little more. Evabelle, who is actually Washington State University. Kim, sorry to blow your cover, but hi. I'm glad that you're here. I saw your comments on my video, so I'm glad that you took everything in the video well today, and I really do appreciate that. And Joan, oh my gosh, Joan, I'm sorry that I missed you. Gregory Worth, thank you guys for being here. McCrotis J, wonderful moderators and friends. Georgia Line, let's see. Yeah, great. I have no problem calling 911. If you see something, say something. Absolutely, Georgia Line. Thank you for that message. Absolutely. All right, so let me go back down. If I miss anybody, please don't take it personally. Agape Love, hi, how are you? Anaphylaxis, oh, friends. Oh, Lori Sutton, welcome. How are you doing? Christina Rhodes, hey, how are you doing? Welcome. Mrs. B, nice to see you. Edward, hi, he's in DC. I didn't know that, Edward. Are you visiting there or do you live there? All right. So this video is going to be about, let me take that down for now. So the two University of Idaho students who I've been talking to for the past 6 months, well, one of them I've been talking to for the past 6 months, and the second one came in, I don't know, I think about 2 months later. I'm not sure exactly when, something about 2 months. They are going to be available by text here in a little bit too. I think they're probably listening in right now. Not sure, or else they will be very soon. If you have some questions, they're willing to answer those questions probably in short form. So if you do have any questions for them, you can go ahead and think about what those questions may be, and you can ask them in a little bit. We're not going to do that just yet, but you're welcome to do that. So the video that I put out earlier this afternoon, I don't know if y'all saw it or not. You know, Memorial Day is kind of a weird day to put out a video, so I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. Hopefully you were doing something fun today if you're in the United States and you celebrate Memorial Day. And if you're not in the United States, I still hope you were doing something enjoyable today. But the point of the video was that these two students, now understand, I myself stand by what they say. As I said in the video, every single thing that these guys have told me when I check it out, because at first especially I did check things out, has turned out to be absolutely 100% true 100% of the time. So this has caused me to have a great deal of trust in them. This is how relationships work, right? So what I have to say on their behalf is, what I am saying on their behalf, I don't have any firsthand special or insider knowledge into anything that happened here except for what I hear from them. But I do stand by whatever it is they tell me. So one of their big points of contention is this idea that all of these students knew about this tragedy well before it happened, like hours before it happened. This has been said by Washington State University Kim, who came on the other night. We had a live stream, and thank you, Kim, very much for doing that. And I think she still might be here in chat. Satan's Rockatol. Is that, did I read that right? Saints Rock. I don't know, but welcome. How are you doing? I just butchered that name. I'm so sorry. I just lost my train of thought on that. So one of the things that they really, are having trouble with, and I asked them why, and I'm going to tell you about that in a minute, is this idea that all of these students knew well in advance of when we know that the 911 call was made about the University of Idaho tragedy, which was not until 11:58 in the morning. Now, since the authorities estimate that this tragedy happened between, initially it was, what is it now, 4 and 4:25, I think it is. It was in the video. I don't know. These details start to run together. I think it was approximately that. It was about 8 hours later when the 911 call was finally made, which is very curious to everybody, including myself. Although I try to understand why it took so long to call the authorities when something so awful happened. I'm going to be honest, I really don't understand. At some point, I put out a video about how people react to intense trauma and fear, and it's, that you might freeze, flight, flop. I can't remember. There's 5 different things that people tend to do, and they're 5 Fs. Or you can turn those possible reactions into 5 words that start with F, which kind of describes them. And that's legitimate. I mean, people, when you are faced with something very traumatic or terrifying, unless you are one highly trained individual, you don't really have a choice as to how you respond. But still, 8 hours is a very long period of time for the authorities to not be called. Okay. So let's see. Hey, Annie Ruler, how are you doing? AC, welcome. Veronica Chestnut, how are you doing? Oh, cool. Thank you, Veronica. Hey, I appreciate that. I just saw this comment here. I haven't even read it yet, but I'm just going to read it from Annie Ruler. They're trying to account for the thump. That, in my opinion, is why they moved the timeline. Did someone carry E into the bedroom, or X? Was there blood in the kitchen or family room? Well, that's a really good question. So here is a difficult thing about what we do and don't know about this case. And I want to clarify something that I was talking about yesterday, which is why these two guys from the University of Idaho, we were joking around about calling them Mike and Ike. I don't know if I'm committed to that, but I always have to say the two boys from University of Idaho were friends with Ethan Chapin from Sigma Chi Fraternity. You guys probably know who I'm talking about by now, right? One of the reasons they have a problem with the gag order is, well, first of all, let's understand the gag order, okay? The gag order does not mean that nobody in the entire universe can talk about the tragedy. Honey Bun, thanks for becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Thank you, my dear. And I do have 2 members only exclusive videos coming up. There's 2 up there right now. One is of Ethan Chapin golfing. I think it's just a really fun video, and just a couple other things. I don't post things all that much, but I do have 2 coming up that I think you're going to appreciate. One about the Watts case, one about this case. So thank you for becoming a member. So the gag order doesn't apply to everybody. It applies to people who are under the influence of the court. But because there is a gag order out there, a lot of people, particularly in the community where the tragedy happened, so that is in Moscow at the University of Idaho, are following suit. And they are wanting, people that are associated with them to not talk about this case. And the idea that I have is that it's out of respect for the victims. And the 2 guys from University of Idaho feel the same way. So, I mean, I've told this a million times. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but someday they will come on camera and you will hear from them in their own voices, seeing their faces. They have assured me of that. I'm sure that they will. I mean, they can certainly change their mind, but I'm sure that they will. They have a lot that they want to say. But, their fraternity doesn't want them to be talking. From what they say, the university doesn't want people to be talking. Their families don't want them to be talking. They're close with the Chapins. They're in touch with the Chapin family. They don't really appreciate, people that are around them, going and just like blabbing about this case right now. And hey, man, who can't understand that? So the problem that they have is, as a result of the gag order, the people who truly are closest to the case, the people who may have some actual knowledge of what is going on, are not talking. So what does that mean? That means that the rest of the free world is free to be talking about this case, really knowing jack squat about it. So that means Ashley Banfield on News Nation can go on and say whatever she wants, just saying, oh, I heard this from my source. Or, Dateline. The Dateline that was on the other evening, I thought was, I kind of thought it was total crap, to be honest. I started making a video about it. I didn't finish it. I don't know if I ever will. But most of it was talking about, interviewing mostly retired, profilers, giving this very basic kind of like mediocre, like novice psychological profile of Brian Kohberger, which we in the true crime community have been talking about this case. We've had that nailed for months and months and months, right? And then also, who they have on there, that girl that I can't remember what her name was, that he supposedly met on Tinder a long time ago, and they watched a movie and he kept trying to touch her, like tickle her, she said, and she had to pretend she was getting sick to get away from him. And then, they were talking about Papa Rogers, that Reddit profile that may or may not be Brian Kohberger. I personally think that it probably is. But it was a lot of stuff that really wasn't based in any kind of fact. And then when they tried to make strong assertions about things that they really were, from my estimate, presenting as fact, all that they said was, oh, it's our source, without giving any more information, just that it's our source. In the little video I started making, and I played some of it in the last live stream, I said, at least, on this channel and on other channels like Truth and Transparency or Drunk Turkey Show, who I've been referencing a lot, or T-Rev, or I know there's others. Those are just the ones that came to mind. I know that all of those channels, we're trying to give you as much information about these sources as we can without disclosing exactly who they are, or, breaking our commitment of anonymity to those sources. But the mainstream media sources now are not giving viewers that courtesy. They're just kind of, sort of playing like fast and loose, going against journalistic ethical standards, which nose is all itchy. I think I got bunny for my nose. Some of you know I raise bunnies. Sorry. I'm going to turn my camera off for a minute so I'm not like weird. Okay. Feel a little self-conscious doing that. Oh, great. Particular. Okay. So, that makes just me feel, I don't know, I guess really disappointed in them. I mean, who cares what I think about them? But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about the Dateline that was on the other night? What do you think about some of the, news stories that Ashley Banfield has put out? Do you have any stock? Do you put any stock in them? Do you have any faith in them? Or are you disappointed in them as well? I'd be really interested to hear about that. Let's see. Thank you for posting the membership link. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I promise there's going to be 2 new videos early, like in the next few days for sure. Oh, that's really nice. Brandywine True Crime says, I completely understand. I can't imagine what they've been going through. My prayers are with them daily. That's a really nice message. I just really appreciate that message, being able to put that out there on the channel. Thank you very much. And I'm sure that they do as well. Okay, so I'm just going to play a little bit of the video that I put out earlier. Hi, Cheyenne Doyle. Welcome. How are you doing? Hey, hoping for answers. I'm hoping for answers too, and welcome. And Francis Folly, welcome. How are you doing? Okay, so yeah, Joan says that she was disappointed. She usually loves Dateline. I love Dateline too. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I think a lot of true crime people that convene here are big fans of Dateline for sure. And DC Primetime says the gag order is frustrating. Man, for sure it is. So I'd like to take this question. Sure. So AC says, I think you mean, how on earth is Ashley Banfield in Dateline going against ethical standards? What are you doing different? I have faith in them. They are not going to risk their name for this. Well, I know that Ashley Banfield did do that in the Chris Watts case, and she was booted off the air for a while. So, I don't know exactly why that happened, and is it going to happen again? I'm not sure. But I think I just explained what I meant here to answer your question, is that, they make very big claims just saying, oh, this is our source, without giving any more information about it. And those claims that they are making, which are substantial claims that they are stating with a high degree of certainty to their viewers, do not have any actual evidence, data, or anything based in fact to support them. So that is the problem. What I am doing differently, what other YouTube channels are doing differently, is giving you as much information about sources who are not comfortable showing their faces or talking in their real voices right now at this time, for all of the reasons I just explained. So I'm not going to go over it again, but if you want to, you can go ahead and rewatch it. If you don't, that's okay too. So, all right, here we go. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this, and yeah. And welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. And then probably in about 20 minutes or so, the guys they're just gonna have to communicate with me through text. We'll answer a few questions, and please, they have to be respectful. If they're not, you're just gonna have to get timed out, because I hate doing stuff like that, but we just really need to be respectful here.
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match. They don't match. He doesn't have to go up the steps.
Autopsies on the 4 students found each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker, and there was no sexual assault.
Her father mentioned to me that he had just went and replaced the lock the weekend before.
County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
The arrest of 28-year-old Brian Kohberger rocked the nation.
Kohberger studied criminal justice at an advanced level, having gotten a master's from DeSales University in Pennsylvania in 2022, according to the school. There, he appears to once have posted on Reddit asking for volunteers for a research project where he was studying the criminal mind.
This video is going to be discussing the 911 call that we all know, according to the probable cause affidavit, was made about 8 hours after the estimated time of death of the victims of the Idaho 4 tragedy. Now, this video came about because I had the person who is known as WSU Kim on my channel the other evening on a live stream because she was in the chat, which caused a conversation to occur between myself and the 2 University of Idaho students who I've been in touch with for the past 6 months, who are in Ethan Chapin's fraternity and were good friends with Ethan Chapin, about their original point of contention with WSU Kim, and now the person known as Dave, who has spoken out on the Drunk Turkey Show and Truth and Transparency, which is that students were aware of the murders long before the 911 call was even made. So before I get into that, I want to address the sources that we are going to be citing. Number 1, Dateline. We are in agreement that the general narrative that was told on the recent Dateline special is not accurate, and we question the sources that these mainstream media outlets are getting their information from. Number 2, WSU Kim. I appreciate that she came on my live stream the other evening, and Kim has been nothing other than nice to me and has spoken kindly about this channel. And the students from the University of Idaho appreciate what she had to say the other night about them, and they also want Kim to know that there really are no hard feelings. It is the issues that are being discussed that they are in contention with. Number 3, Truth and Transparency, and specifically Lana. I've known Lana for a long time, and I really like Lana, and it is absolutely nothing personal with Lana, and I think she's doing awesome work on this case and is doing her best to tell the truth. Nevertheless, the 2 students at the University of Idaho are in contention with some things that she has been saying on her channel, and we are going to talk about them. Hope it's all cool, Lana. I know you're mature and can handle it. Number 4, the Drunk Turkey Show. Although I don't have a relationship really with the Drunk Turkey Show the way I do with Lana, I guess I would say the same thing. We appreciate their channel, as do the 2 guys from the University of Idaho, and it's nothing personal. We just want to get this issue straightened out. And these guys and some of the victims' families feel very strongly about it. So I hope everyone can take this for exactly what it's worth. So let's get into the issue at hand, and that is the claims of at least a couple of people that students knew about the tragedy hours before the 911 call was even made. I am going to be using some excerpts from Truth and Transparency and the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm going to leave links to those channels in the description, and I totally suggest that you check out their videos on your own and make your decisions about what you think about this issue and other issues for yourself. The following is a clip from 2020 that Lana from Truth and Transparency played on a live stream just the other night.
Okay, it's an accident. Let's not panic, And I remember texting Kaylee. See if she was okay. She obviously didn't ever respond. It was in the morning.
So obviously this young woman just said that she tried to text Kaylee and Kaylee did not respond because it was in the morning. Now, to be fair, Lana on Truth and Transparency did point out the fact that, well, maybe the girl had just woke up late. And so when she Southpaw, I will address that. I need to clarify something that I said in this video because there's been lots of comments about that, and I'll address your kind of snide comment there, but I think I know what you're getting at. Texter, even if it wasn't really in the morning, it felt like the morning. Y'all remember what it was like to be a college student if you went to college, right? The two University of Idaho students that the channel is in contact with claim that they know this young woman, and although they have not asked her about it in the past couple days, since this clip aired on Truth and Transparency and was discussed in regards to when students knew about the tragedy, they feel certain that she is well aware of the timing of when students became aware of this tragedy, and she doesn't have any suspicion that it was earlier in the morning, well before the 911 call was made. They're actually planning on reaching out to her to see if she would like to make a statement or if she would like to come on the channel in voice only, since she has already been on 2020 to clarify what she meant here. We're hoping that that's going to happen. I just want to clarify and reiterate that the claims that these two guys make, guys, I absolutely believe them. I've been in contact with them for 6 months, one of them since 10 days after this tragedy occurred. And every single thing, everything, 100% of it, everything that they have told me has turned out to be true when I check up on it. There is no deception. There's no ulterior motive. These guys are shooting straight from the hip, and I can assure you of that. Okay, so this next clip, again, was from Truth and Transparency. She played this clip that was originally from the Drunk Turkey Show, and hey, guys, and thank yous. And you'll be hearing the woman who is known as WSU Kim talking about her claims that she had heard from her daughter that students from all over the place, it seems, knew about the murders really early on. Now, this is a pretty long clip because this clip is rich. And my two guys from the University of Idaho had something to say about several different points in this one clip. So please listen carefully.
He goes to UI, and so she's friends with the Pi Fies because he goes there. And I said, but how do the Pi Fies know? How do you know at 10 o'clock and we don't know until now? She goes, I don't know that. And I said, but why do you know now? Why did you know at 10? And it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and we don't know. And you know everything that happened, but the news doesn't say that. Because at the same time, I'm going through my phone looking for any information I can find. And there's just no information. And so then I said, what happened? And she told me that, and what she said to me was that there were 4 kids were killed, they were stabbed, and that there were 2 roommates there who locked themselves in their bedrooms because they were scared, but they heard a lot of noise. It's a party house, so maybe they didn't know what was happening. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, did they call 911? She goes, I don't know. But that is what I was told. That is what and I did correct it with the FBI as soon as I learned that this is not working. It's not right. So, well, a lot of kids were there early in the morning. Mm-hmm. They were there early in the morning. 8 o'clock. That's what she said. It seems like I think the sorority sister might have stayed at my daughter's house or not, but knew at 8:30, and there was a narrative discovered and built, and 2 people who are really important to the case I don't think they did it. I think they thought it was a shakedown. I do not think any student did it.
Right.
But I think that
but
all
nobody told you that, right?
That's
That's something that when it comes to the shakedown stuff.
Well, I know
that's not something that your daughter told you that she thought it was a shakedown.
No, that I was told. No, yeah. I was told that.
You were told what? When were you told that?
It was a drug house that they were there. The creeper was there, and there were people there.
Okay. Hold on. Who told you this? And when was this told?
My child told me this. This was in the beginning.
And she was told by the student from University of Idaho?
The student's girlfriend from University of Idaho.
Okay. Where did she get that information from?
My daughter told me is that she got it from High five.
Oh, she got it from the sorority.
Yeah, she got it from the sorority. That's what she told me at the time.
Interesting.
Okay, so first of all, and listen, Kim, I think you are a sweetheart. And again, it's nothing personal, but these are some observations that we have made, and then we'll go into some hard facts. So, first of all, the story is a little bit convoluted. And if you watch the several different appearances that WSU Kim has made, and nothing personal, I kind of feel bad about doing this, but I am committed to the truth and to the people that I've been in touch with who were deeply impacted by this tragedy. If you go through the several different appearances that she's made on channels, this story does change ever so slightly. Now, I could make a video pointing out all of those discrepancies, but I feel like that is a little bit unkind, and I'm not trying to be unkind here, but I think you yourself can tell. And I think the Drunk Turkey Show was getting the idea that this story is a little bit convoluted. It sounds as though some of the details at this point might be being manufactured as we are going along. You know what I'm saying? Now, something that my two students from the University of Idaho feel really strongly about is that although this house may have been known as, quote, the drug house at various times over the years, and it may be true that certain people who lived in the house acted like typical college students and engaged in recreational use of whatever at times, they stand by the fact, as they have all along, that as of this past school year, this house was totally not known as the drug house. Not by them, not by anyone they have talked to, not by anyone. In their opinion, and in the opinions of several people that they have talked to, and we have been discussing this at various times over the past several months, this term drug house that's being used to refer to 1122 King Road is something that people have picked up on social media, on YouTube, maybe on TikTok, and that's where it came from. So, through the course of our discussion, we sort of felt like if somebody is referring to it as the drug house, that is because they have heard it through YouTube, through TikTok, through wherever on social media. And it's not because they've actually received the information from a source close to the actual tragedy. And you know what? I stand by that too. Another point about this story that we decided we would like to bring to everyone's attention is the amount of detail that is included in that story. According to WSU Kim, she heard this very early on. In fact, the Drunk Turkey Show asks her to reiterate when and where she heard it from, and she does. Well, we all know how the game of telephone goes. And when you're first learning about a situation, especially a shocking situation where nobody knows all the details of that situation, all of the details get a little clouded up and confused. But in this story, there is an incredible amount of detail that, according to the official documents, actually turns out to probably be true. Like the two surviving roommates locking themselves in their rooms, that one of them thought there was a party going on, that the other one thought something else. There is just way too much detail in this story to sit comfortably in our opinions. The Sig Kai boys have some additional issues with this story, but first, let's listen to a clip of the guy that's being called Dave talking to Lana from Truth and Transparency.
You wake up in the morning on November 13th. Can you just describe your day?
So I don't remember exactly when I woke up. I just remember waking up and opening up my Snapchat, and there were dozens of Snapchat messages in all the group chats. And I just remember oh, this is kind of whack. And then I got up and I was getting ready for work. And then when I kind of woken up a little bit more, I started to go through them because I did not want to have to read a lot of shit early in the morning. And then I ended up I was just sitting there scrolling through it, and then opened up the messages, and then there it was. It was holy shit, did you guys hear about what happened? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm scrolling up, and there's just, I mean, lines and lines and lines of text. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's awake. I mean, and this is before 9:30 on a Sunday. And I remember that because I had to go to work. I ended up not going because I wanted to be with my brothers, right? Kind of obvious. But yeah, and it was like, I don't remember what the exact time I woke up, but I remember, like, yeah, we were all talking about it. We all knew about it. And like my boss, my coworkers were texting me later, you know, asking me like if everything was okay. And they had even heard about things. They heard like it was a shooting and stuff like that. So, and yeah, it was kind of weird because like at the beginning, everyone said like, at the beginning, like the very, very first messages where people were talking about the stabbings, or like a stabbing had occurred. And then it changed to an OD, and it was just kind of weird. Like looking back on it, it changed to an OD so quickly, and like nobody questioned it, and like we didn't question it either because we knew there were drugs in that house, and like just genuinely thought like, okay, they got a bad batch, and that's just what happened, right? Because you see it on the news, it happens in bigger cities.
So you said you had to go to work, and you said you had to be to work at 9:30. So this would have happened before, like you got to work.
Yeah, no, this was definitely and it was like I don't know, 5-10 minute drive to work, and like I had to like get ready too. So you're talking like well before 9 o'clock in the morning at least.
Okay, so this story from the guy that's known as WSU Dave has some of the same issues that the guys have with a story that Kim tells. And this is when we're also going to get into some hard facts, and the guys are going to reveal some additional detail of their experience of that morning, which they have been very hesitant to discuss, or to allow me to discuss, I should say, up until now. But it is so important to them that we get the story straight as much as possible, or at least until the trial happens, because we all know it's going to be a long time that these vicious rumors don't continue to circulate that are hurting the family members and close friends of the victims. Guys, it's not acceptable. So here's one of the problems with the early morning hours for a Sunday that Dave, and in a less clear way, Kim is referencing. So he is saying at the very end of the clip that I just played, Lana is clarifying, she does a really good job interviewing people, of exactly when it was that he may have been looking at these snaps. And he clarifies that it is well before 9 a.m., like around 8:30. Well, according to the two guys from the University of Idaho that I'm in contact with, nobody is up on a Sunday morning around 8:30. And if people are up at 8:30 on a Sunday morning, it's very few and far between. So Dave says that when he first looked at his phone, there were dozens and dozens of snaps. They simply just do not believe that there were enough people up at that early hour on a Sunday morning that would have rendered dozens and dozens of snaps talking about something that they hold firm to nobody knew about until between 12:30 and 1, for the most part. I'm talking about on a larger scale on that day. Now, here's a detail about their personal experience of that morning. Now, they say that they were up between 10 and 10:30. They say they do not know the exact time they were up because they had no reason to at that point until a little bit later in the day. That day was no different than any other. It was not a remarkable day, so they had no reason to remember, oh, yeah, I woke up on that day and I looked at the clock and it was 10:17 a.m. But they are sure, because of what they had to do that day, they were up between 10 and 10:30. They feel like that is an estimate that they can make that is going to be totally truthful, which is all that they ever are. So they were up between 10 and 10:30. According to what WSU Kim and this guy Dave are saying, tons of people, at least dozens and dozens, knew by 8:30 a.m. They feel that it would be absolutely impossible if all of those people knew that that happened to their fraternity brother, who's a close friend of theirs, that they would not have found out shortly after having woken up. Why did... Okay, guys, and this right here really is the most important part of their message about people not knowing hours earlier prior to the 911 call. It's about when they were up in the morning and when Hunter Chapin was up in the morning, and they did not find out until well around noon. Did nobody contact them directly or anybody else in Sigma Chi? If it was a Sigma Chi fraternity brother who was one of the victims of this tragedy, why did nobody in that fraternity know until, well, definitely after noon? They also say, because they are good friends with Hunter Chapin and they've talked to him on several occasions about, well, anything in the world, but also about what has happened, that Hunter was up even earlier than them due to some academic study obligations that he had that day. They also feel, and particularly feel, it would be absolutely impossible, and I fully agree, that if dozens and dozens of students knew around 8:30 a.m. that the people in that house had perished, that Hunter Chapin, Ethan's triplet sibling, would not have known about the tragedy until he was called on the scene, which he was. Okay, next, I just want to, change something I said the other night on my live stream. So when I was talking to the two guys from University of Idaho, they felt that they knew who the person who's being referred to as Dave was, yet they still didn't agree with some aspects of his story, as I just discussed. Well, apparently, as they told me, and I believe them, they reached out to this person, one of them did, and the person swears it wasn't him and had no idea what he was talking about. So they've changed their stance on that. They just don't know who it is. They're not saying that he's not legitimate or he's not from the university or he's not in a fraternity or anything like that, but they just have no idea who he is. So take that for what it's worth. So if you happen to be watching this video on May 29th, Memorial Day, and happy Memorial Day to y'all, there's going to be a live stream tonight at 9 p.m. It's probably going to be a shorter live stream, I'm hoping, because I have to go to work in the morning. But I am going to have these guys available on text. So if you have questions for them about anything that has been said or anything at all, as long as it is appropriate, I can field the question to them via text, and you will probably get some kind of answer. So if you're interested in asking a question, be there tonight at 9 p.m. I'm not sure how I'm going to decide how I take the questions, but because it depends on how many there are. And hopefully, if you do have questions, you will get some answers. So as always, the most important thing here is to remember the victims, especially on Memorial Day. We remember the victims of this terrible tragedy: Kelly Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Gernodal. Rest in peace, sweethearts, and I hope that their families are eventually able to find peace as well. Okay, and this is a video that played earlier on in the very beginning of the live stream that commemorates. Okay. Hi. After I posted that video today, that, oh, it's ridiculous to say that nobody was up that early in the morning. All right, guys. I mean, cut me a break. That nobody was up that early in the morning. Obviously, I don't mean in the most literal sense, and they certainly didn't tell me in the most literal sense. There was not one single soul awake on the University of Idaho campus that morning. Their point was, according to the person who is known as Dave, when he was, looking at his phone, he had dozens and dozens of snaps at 8:30 a.m. based on when they know that they woke up that morning. And again, they say they don't know the exact time. And we're going to bring them, open it up to asking them questions in just a little bit here. Yes, we will. Based on the time they know they woke up, and it wasn't the exact time because they said until they found out what happened, that day was not extraordinary. That morning did not seem any different than any other until it was. And they also know, based on, being close to and talking to Ethan Chapin's brother, when he woke up, which was even earlier than them, and they woke up between 10 and 10:30, if dozens and dozens of people were snapping about it at 8:30, they find it simply not believable that that's true, because how would they have not heard about it? How would none of Ethan Chapin's other fraternity brothers have heard about it? Not one. Don't you think that would be among the first people that others would contact? Would be his fraternity brothers, his close friends, his brother? So like, that's the point, I mean, like, let's stick to the point here. We're talking about the timeline. We're talking about the truth. We're talking about moving towards justice for the victims and peace for the families. And that's what's up. Did I say hi to you, Midge? I think I did, but I'm really glad that you're here. All right, let me go down to the comments here. Now, oh goodness. There's another issue that, let's see. What I was doing while I was playing that was I was looking for certain interviews from the Goncalveses. Let me just see if I can find this here. So, people are saying that the Goncalveses claim that they were first notified about Kaylee's death at 10 a.m. So some people in chat right here are claiming that. And hey, maybe that is what you think. Hey, maybe that is what you heard. But for those of you who are claiming that the Goncalves family knew about Kaylee's death or first heard about it around at 10 a.m., please tell me what your source is, because I have researched this topic extensively, and the closest that I have found to a specific time is a reference to football. They say that when they first heard about this, they were watching football and it was close to 1 p.m. Somebody had said that. I'm not sure if it's Kelly Sanchez, but that is consistent with what I found out as well. Let's see here. I am sticking to the why. Oh, okay. Let's see. So AC asks, why would someone not go into work to console his brothers if he doesn't know? I am sticking to the point. I'm not sure what you mean there. I mean, I don't know if he did not go to work to console his brothers. I mean, I don't know this person, Dave. All I know is the consistency and the truth with which the two guys from the University of Idaho I've been in contact with have, communicated to me, and that's all I personally can speak to. Okay, fair enough. Aloha Annie says it may have only been 1 or 2 people who were texting Dave, not dozens and dozens of people. He said dozens of texts. Well, he also said that it was those snaps were in a group discussion of 40 to 60 people. So Eva Bell says, exactly the question. And why weren't the police called? One of the girls in 2020 was meeting Hunter at Sigma Chi for a homework project thing. And I do believe that to be true, because what I have heard about what Hunter's day was scheduled to be like is totally consistent with that. So Eva Bell, you and I agree with that. So let's see. Was it Kelly Sanchez? Were you answering my question? You said they themselves on the news and Dateline 48 hours. The sister was getting a call. All right. So what I'm asking is if for those people that are saying that the Goncalveses are claiming that they were informed at 10 a.m., please cite that source with specificity, because I don't think it's there. And I'm not saying, listen, guys, and I'm not saying like anyone's wrong for saying that, or it's nothing like that. It's about getting to the truth. It's about people who were impacted by this tragedy having the opportunity to tell their truth. And, I say all the time, and I'll say it again now. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. And for whatever I say, unless I'm telling you that it is 100% fact that is backed up with evidence and data, I could be wrong now. So, I think the same is true for everyone else. So really, I would just be careful of, what you're willing to die on the hill for. So Tony says, he said that he didn't go to work. He says a lot of things. I don't believe any of it unless they admit it's, you think it's that Einan or Enan guy? I don't know. I never know how to pronounce his name. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, the two guys that I talked to, they thought the other day they knew it was him based on a few things he said, like something like, wow, I don't know. They explained to me it was a few things that he said where it sounded like this one person where they believed it to be this person. But they actually got curious enough where they asked the person, and the guy was like, what are you talking about? They felt like his response was really genuine and they were pretty sure it wasn't him. So Brandywine in True Crime says, not true. I heard them early on say it was later in the day while watching football. It was one of the earlier interviews with Brian Enton, I think. Yeah, that definitely was the case. And I think that I can find that interview. I know exactly where that is said. And that is the only reference point that I have. Yeah, Randy. So we've been talking about this on Dateline. Kaylee's friend said that she heard of something that happened to Kaylee. So she tried several times calling her in the morning, but she never answered. Right. So that's what she said. But, the point is, college students there was a lot of this was like a big party weekend. This is something that is known. A lot of college students are out on a Saturday night anyway. This girl was obviously very upset. I mean, you can't hang your hat on a statement like that with all of those conditions exist, right? It's my opinion. Oh, yeah, I like this. Not sure why her source is the source, and I'm not sure who you're talking about. You could even be talking about me, and I would still agree. An open mind is super important. Amen. I echo that sentiment. Oh, that's okay. All good. My apologies. Didn't hear about the 40 to 60 in the group chat. All good. All good. See, that's why, it's a good thing we can talk about this stuff and just, figure it all out, right? Oh, yes. Eva Bellis Kim from Washington State University in chat. Yes. The truth is coming. Damn, girl. DC Primetime. I sure hope so. So Christina Rhodes says, I heard they started hearing bits and pieces in the morning, but were never informed until later, like hours later. That's right. So, a lot of people are saying that. So if anybody can please just give me a source where we can hear the Gonsalves family saying that they first heard in the morning, well, that's something, and I'll play it. And yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of people that are saying something like what Christina is saying. And thank you for, putting your input in, Christina. I do appreciate it. But nobody is able to provide a source. Yes. So Jeannie Ramsey, who I know very well and I work with her all the time, says Kelly said that she believes the source because she's vetted them over the last few months. That's why she trusts them. That's all. Yeah. And that's all that there is to it. That's the beginning and end of that story. Take it for what it's worth, Let's see. Okay, so Southpaw, you seem very like you got a problem with me, Southpaw. I don't know what that is, but it's all good. Not sure what I did to you. The Gonsalves family said it in an interview. Do your homework before you claim others are not telling the truth. What I am telling you, I am making no claims. I am telling you what has been said by two people who were close to this tragedy. I have done my homework. I've done extensive homework. And what I'm asking you is if you are claiming the Gonsalves said that in the interview, somebody of all of the people through the comments on my videos today and chats right now, probably 20 to 30 people are telling me that Mrs. Gonsalves said that they were contacted about this in the morning. Somebody give me the source. Cite it. Give me the source. I'll play it right now. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. Yes, this is what I believe to be true. Francis Foley says, thank you, Francis. This is exactly what I believe to be true. This is after doing my extensive homework. I agree with this statement. The Gonsalves family said their niece called them before they were informed by the police. Initially told a shooting and tried to call Maddie. Niece said they found out in the AM, but didn't say 10. Okay, well, I don't even know if they said AM. Maybe they did, though. But I've never heard 10. Thank you very much. Let's see. Let's see. So they told Olivia and Betty on video. So are you saying it was the interview on Chronicles of Olivia? Yes. Thank you, Honey Bun. Please stop arguing that they knew it at 10 a.m. If you make that claim, please cite the source. Exactly. I mean, that's all I'm asking. It's just seriously. Yes. And No Way makes a really good point here. The 8-hour time gap between when this tragedy occurred and when the 911 call was made, I mean, that is still lingering out there in the ether. And yes, No Way, it is extremely odd. Okay, so Tony is, is expanding on his belief that this guy Dave is really that person. Oh, why did I put myself up for this? That guy Einan or Enan, the person whose name I cannot pronounce, says Agape Love. He appears on the same channels as that person did. He says like 20 times. Oh, he says like 20 times a minute. The greeters say it's not him. They say a lot of things. Most of it is speculation, not truthful. Okay. Joan linked it. Oh. Would Joan link? So Agape Love is saying it's in that very first interview that was scrubbed, and Agape Love, I love you, but I mean, it's like, okay, it's really, I was thinking about this after I was responding to you in a comment on the video. And then after that, I actually spent a while, looking for that, possible interview. It's really hard to fully scrub something from the internet. And I assure you, listen, with this case, every interview that came out, I pulled it and I put it on my hard drive. Thank you. Tell it to Ellie, or Ellie. I got it. Chronicles of Olivia. Okay, thank you. Joan linked it. So Joan linked. I'm looking for Joan now. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see. Let's check out Joan's source. Okay, I'm going to hold it because I've got to go over to this live stream on YouTube to pick up her link. Thank you, Joan. So let's figure this out, and then we're going to go to questions. Thank you, Joan. Oh, shit. This is a really long video, man. Joan, do you happen to know? Okay, so the link that Joan just provided me is to the Chronicles of Olivia video. Does anyone have a timestamp on that? Because these guys needed a few minutes now anyway, so we can't do the questions for a few minutes. Guys, I got you. Okay, so Frances Foley is clarifying what was said earlier by saying the niece found out in the morning that something happened, but not with Kaylee specifically, and then called the Gonsalves family leader on. All right, cool. Let's see. Joan linked it. People, okay, let's see here. Lisa R, welcome. Oh, true crime. Loosen your grip on me. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Kelly, there are others mentioning this in chat. Look at the link. I got it. Let me get down to current times here. Okay. I've got the link that Joan just put up. I've got that. Thank you, Gregory. It says, we know you strive for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us all, God, Gregory. Oh, let's see. Eva Belly, I mean, you can just put it in chat. I've got the video. I'm just trying to narrow it down to a timestamp because I don't want to just play her whole video since I haven't asked her. Hi, Anaphylaxis. How are you doing? Again, oh, I've already said hello to you, but what did Anaphylaxis say that Jeannie liked? I don't know. I don't want to go up too far. All right. Let me try to figure this out. Is there anyone who wants to come up and say something while I'm trying to find this in the Chronicles of Olivia video? I've got the video. It's here. It's ready to go. It can be booted. Just it's not. I don't want to play the whole thing. See, it's right here. Okay. So everyone calm down. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Anna. So Randy Hansen says, Kelly, I'm from the area. Ethan and myself grew up in the same hometown. I'm pretty sure rumors were circulating early in the morning. So what makes you say that, Randy? Yeah, I can make a telephone call and get confirmation. Oh my God, hell yeah, go for it. Please let us know your source as well as you can. Oh, timestamp. Thank you, American Princess. All right, so let's watch it. Maybe this is the moment we've been waiting for. So you're telling me it's 20 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll give it some context. I'm going to start it at around 19 minutes, okay? And thank you very much, Chronicles of Olivia. I will link the video, of course, in the description and appreciate your work.
Of the 12th, November 12th, and I think you hit, and I can even think of that perspective, but they did everything right.
Yeah.
And we discussed that, the buddy system. Explain all the things that they did.
Yeah, they Ubered out together. They only went to known locations that they had been.
You know, this really is so sad because those girls did do everything right as far as, you know, what we tell our children to do to be safe, you know, and just to think that somebody is going to come into your home or your child's home and commit this atrocity, regardless of the details or all of these things that sometimes we don't agree about. Like, please, like, let's just remember this is what we're talking about. And it is like such a horrible, horrible tragedy.
before.
Private driver.
They had a private driver. I apologize. There was a private driver that they had actually used before, so they knew him. They had a relationship with this individual.
We knew him as a family member, and he really helped us.
Yeah.
He turned us on to food truck stuff.
Yeah.
He was a great person.
Good people. And then only went to like known locations with known people, traveled only together on well-lit, known streets to get food before taking a private ride from the same individual who would pick them up home to go eat after a night of drinking, being 21, Ubering out, Ubering home with your friend.
They were totally chaperoned.
And then going to bed.
They were doing everything the way that you tell your kid to go. You
Yeah.
know, you don't be two girls all by yourself. Have somebody there that can walk with you. Everything was perfect. Everything was good.
Yeah.
All the way up to where they went to bed and went to sleep.
Yeah.
And that I can't control. As a family, we can't control what happens when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
When you go to sleep, that's us as society. We have to determine, are we going to let these people be out here that can do whatever they did, sneak into a house, whatever it was? Are we going to allow that to be? Are we going to allow that to be okay?
Yeah.
Because we all go to bed at night.
Yeah, what was their flaw? They didn't have a nanny cam in their home? What could they have done to be more
They
safe?
didn't lock the door perfectly.
Yeah. No, it's Moscow, Idaho. It's safe.
I wonder about the door because Kaylee was a door locker. She come
totally
here,
was.
and so I question that all the time.
Wait a minute. We just passed a timestamp. Is this the right video? Because I don't want to be playing somebody else's video if it's not the right video. The 21:26 mark, Bubbly Waters. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to keep playing this then because we have barely any more time to go to get there. Okay.
But that's not what society's built on. You don't say, oh, well, you didn't lock the door, so you deserve to die in your sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't do that. We have to make a society where these people show red flags, we identify them, we address them, and then we remove them from hurting other people.
The phone call the Gonzalez family received on November 13th is one they'll never forget.
We were, it was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families
She just said Sunday around 1-ish.
on Sunday.
And
We were watching
our
football.
son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home
We
in LA.
gather.
All right. Did y'all hear that? This is exactly what I thought I heard in this interview and others. So she says Sunday around 1-ish. Let's all listen. The volume on this video is like a little quiet. I have it up all the way. I can't do anything else about it. So hopefully you can hear fine. Listen, please.
Do that. We have to make a society where these people show red flags, we identify them, we address them, and then we remove them from hurting other people.
The phone call the Gonzalez family received on November 13th is one they'll never forget.
We were, it was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And
We were watching
our
football.
son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home
We
in LA.
we gather on
And
Sunday.
my niece called me and she was freaking out. And she said, Christy, have you talked to Kaylee? And I said,
All right. Did everybody hear that? All right. I'm going to play it one more time. On Sunday around 1-ish, we were watching football. And then I'll play the next minute or two so you can hear what Mrs. Gonzalez has to say. Since we are entering into this, I want to give her the respect now of listening to her words, her message, and her pain. It's a really great interview that Chronicles of Olivia did. Thank you, Chronicles of Olivia, and thank you for allowing me to play this.
November 13th is one they'll never forget.
we were, it was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And
We were watching
our
football.
son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home
We
in LA.
we gather on
And
Sunday.
my niece called me and she was freaking out. And she said, Christy, have you talked to Kaylee? And I said, yesterday, like last night. And she said, something bad happened. And she was just bawling. And I said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she said, I think Kaylee's dead. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she
All of our
said,
stomachs just dropped.
she said there was somebody just called me and they live down there. She said there was a party last night and Kaylee, somebody went in and shot the party up and Kaylee was shot. I was like, what? And I just threw my phone. I started screaming. I started telling everybody to call Olivia and to get all her roommates on the phone. And I started calling Maddie, and Maddie wouldn't answer, and Maddie wouldn't answer. And I said, no, this can't be, because Maddie would have called me. If when Kaylee was shot last night at a party, Maddie or Jack would have called me. Like, no. And I called Kaylee and went straight to voicemail. I was calling Maddie, I was calling Jack, it was ringing. I turned on the TV and I saw it said 1122 King Road. Like, Kaylee's car was in the driveway, Maddie's car was in the driveway. It was saying an unconscious person. And we're saying, okay, maybe this isn't like, maybe something happened. So Steve starts calling the police. Steven, our son, started calling the hospital, and he started calling the PD and saying, my name is Gonzalez, and we heard that my daughter Kaylee Gonzalez was killed in an accident, and they said, oh, we can't give you any more information, we'll call you back. Well, we just, next thing you know, some more phones started ringing. Our daughters that came running down, 16 and 17 years old, came and said, Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead. And we're like, what? Like, who was it? She's like, I don't know. It's somebody that they're there and Kaylee's dead. And we were like, oh my God, like this can't be, and it's just very, very, very dramatic.
These protocols have to be updated.
Yeah.
These protocols of somebody showing up at your door 10 hours later is ridiculous.
Because we had hours of panic before the sheriff department.
It was terrible.
It was about 4:30.
So you guys, they never called you. You guys found this out from family members that were in the area, and you guys didn't get notified. You actually reached out to them, and you guys still didn't get notified.
He wound up calling them twice.
And I get it. Their protocols are all about, maybe they'll commit suicide or something, but they have to be updated because social media moves so fast, so quick. That's why we are using social media. I'm not using the most common channels.
We called Karen and we asked Karen if she had heard anything, and she goes, yes, I was told that I need to get down here because there was an accident.
Was good.
We thought maybe Maddie was the unconscious person, and we had already been told by several people, like 100% Kaylee was dead. And we were like, 100%, and they're bawling, and they're like,
Maddie was just unconscious.
And then we're like, but Karen got a call saying to come down there. We haven't got a call.
That was a good sign.
So we're like, oh.
And I kept giving them hope. I kept saying, if it happened last night, you guys would know by now. I kept giving them hope. I said, they just released an article that the roommates are being questioned right now. They probably took their phones, Mom. Like, I just kept giving them hope because I live in Los Angeles. It wasn't here. And that's all I could do. But it's just this feeling in your gut that I sat with.
I knew as soon as as soon as Sabrina called, I knew that it was real.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. So for those of you who may have just tuned in or, oh, my hair's dry, I can change my name now. No, thank you, American Prisoners, and everybody else that got me to that spot where we could actually listen to this. So the reason that I played that was the video that I posted earlier and what we are talking about tonight. And just in a couple of minutes, I have a message that he wants me to read you, and I'm going to do that in just a second. Then we're just going to take a few questions. The reason I played that video and I was searching out that information is because the two guys from University of Idaho, who this channel have been in touch with for 6 months, are upset by the fact, I'll use the word upset because it's true, and others, certain victims' family members, and other students who were actually in real life impacted by this tragedy are not really liking that some are bound by a gag order, or those who are not, as these two guys have described to me before, feel bound by a gentleman's agreement with their fraternity and the university and the community. And in some cases, the victims' families, they feel bound by a gentleman's agreement, is what they've been calling it, to not go on YouTube or go on TikTok or wherever it is that they would go and start flapping their gums about things that they don't really need to be talking about at this point, when it might not be helpful towards the goals of finding justice, and it's certainly not helpful towards the goal of finding peace for the family members. So here's a text that I'm going to read from, this is the first student I was in contact with 6 months ago, 10 days after the tragedy, is when I reached out to 4 people because I was looking for certain information. 2 responded. And this is when my relationship with this person started. So here's the message. Listen, everyone. I assure you, students did not know prior to the 911 calls being made, except for the individuals who were called to the house by the survivors who were in gut-wrenching, utter panic. A nightmare. This is a fucking nightmare. Why are some of you trying to push this bullshit saying that students knew? I'll tell you what, you don't know. So that's the message. And, you know, that's what they maintain. And my stance on this channel is I believe them. I'm standing by them. And as I've said before, everything that they have said to me or told me, when the things that I've checked out, which really is all of it, has checked out 100% of the time, all the way, no deception, no ulterior motive, no manipulation, no bullshit. This is just people going through something. So maybe some of you who didn't understand before can see why it's upsetting to them that they feel like they can't talk, yet people who have nothing to do with anything can go on to YouTube or wherever and make all these claims that they maintain are not accurate. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I stand by them 100%. So, so what Mrs. Gonsalves said was 1 o'clock. Sorry, just one sec here. And, you know, really, I'm like, from my end, I don't want this to be a contentious thing, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. And you can't change what is, you know, I mean, like, that's just all there is to it. You just can't change what is. Can't. So just to listen to the time reference one more time, she says around 1-ish.
November 13th is one they'll never forget.
We were, it was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And our son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home
We
in LA.
We gather.
And my niece called me and she was freaking out. And she said, Christy, have you talked to Kaylee? And I said, yesterday, you know, like last night. And she said,
oh, just trying to say around 1-ish. Sorry. I'm like in my head right now. Sorry. Here.
The phone call the Gonsalves family received on November 13th is one they'll never forget.
We were, it was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And our son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down.
So there we have it. So that's that. I mean, that's just that. So no more of that 10 a.m. stuff. It's not out there. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. Yeah, no, thank you, Tracy and Joe and everyone else. Telling everyone that Kelly is not speaking with anger. She's just passionate. No, I'm not angry. I am passionate about this. And it's like, listen, if you were in my position and all of the comments on videos and emails and nasty comments and live chat and this and that and the other thing, it's like, you know, I just keep asking, okay, if you say it's this, I say all the time, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. I could be wrong now. I'm not wrong about this one, though, I know, because we just listened to it. And my frustration largely is, you know, is kind of an empathetic frustration for what I know these guys are feeling. They just do not understand why people are pushing all of these false narratives. And the one that feels particularly hurtful to them is that all these students knew prior to the 911 call. And you know why it feels hurtful to them? Because if they knew, if Hunter Chapin knew, if any of the fraternity brothers of Ethan Chapin knew before the 911 call, they would have made the 911 call. They would have closed that gap. They would not have just allowed him and them, their bodies, to be there in that house in the state that they were without calling for help. Do you understand why that is upsetting to them? I don't think it's that hard to understand. Midge asks, so does that mean the guy that Lana interviewed is not telling the truth? Well, according to these two guys, he's not telling the truth. Now, that's not me making a statement about Lana's channel or Lana or whatever, but I'll say it as many times as I need to. I stand by them. I stand by them and what they're saying. All right, so we'll take just a few questions. I see one right here. So what I'm going to do is, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll put the question up there on the screen, and it appears that they're watching, or I'll text it and I'll get a response. So, yeah, I think I'm going to turn this off just because I feel weird looking down, and I just feel weird about it. Okay. So the question is, all right, and I'm texting too. What is the general feeling around campus regarding the case? So question is, what is the general feeling around campus regarding the case? Now you guys might have to just wait a second because we're texting, so they're going to need to text me a response, okay? Does anyone want to come up here with me? So like while I'm waiting, someone can kind of talk and fill in the silence. If you're willing to do that, I feel like that would just be good for the flow of things. Come on up. DC, Teeny, Gregory, anyone? Whoever. Hey, honey, how are you? I'm still on the live stream. Oh, geez. Yeah, go turn the burner on in a pan, turn on like 4. Yeah, and then get the stuff out. Yeah, sorry. Okay. All right. So there. I put the link for chat in if you do want to come up. Okay. DC up for it? Ellie, sure. Welcome. Oh, Gregory's coming up. Aw, thank you, Gregory. Okay, awesome. Great. Hey, Gregory, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming up, Gregory. I really appreciate it. You always come through, and I just very much appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you think about everything that we're discussing tonight?
Well, I just think that, if somebody can't bring the receipts, meaning proof that it's nothing but speculation, and that even includes stories that Dateline produces,
Absolutely.
Anybody can say they have a source, but, unless it's proven, then it's not really reliable. And I think in a case like this, you just have to stick with the facts.
Yes, I totally agree. And Gregory, we also have our buddy DC Primetime here, so let's say hello to her too. Hey, DC, how are ya?
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Gregory. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Great. How are you doing, sweetheart?
So good to see you, honey. I love you so much. Good to see you.
I love you too. I love you too. So what do you think about what we're talking about?
I think we're getting down in the weeds now. I mean, it's just so much more than anybody could have expected that was impacted by this tragedy in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So what exactly do you mean by that? What do you think this so much more is?
I mean, there are those among us that are not like us. They're like a subspecies of human that are psychopaths. And thank goodness for our our justice system. They're innocent until proven guilty, but they walk among us, Kelly. And we
That's
saw
right.
it with Chris Watts. And many professionals don't believe that Chris Watts is a psychopath, but he is absolutely a psychopath. And whoever deigned to commit these murders, whether that be Brian Kohberger, which the evidence is just unsurmountable for him at this point.
Yeah, that's right.
These people walk among us, pretending to be like us, and they're not. And we need to just recognize the traits and be aware of this, because the families, the victims, the roommates, they were not prepared.
No, oh my gosh, how could you be prepared for that? No, I just want to really quickly, I've got an answer. I just do want to read here. So the question was from Francis Foley, and it is, what is a general feeling around campus regarding the case? So he says, and this is the first student that I was in contact with, the feeling is twofold from my perspective. A segment of the students seem to be in denial. That is hard for me to see happening. It makes me straight up angry at times. I also know a large percent of the student population here feels like I do. Frustrated they can't talk openly, but others can. It feels like the victims don't matter at times. And those victims were our friends, they were our classmates, but most of all, they were loved. Thanks for the question. So
That is
that's what
really
he'd say.
frustrating. Gregory, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. I feel like that the longer this draws out, the more this crime is going to seem impersonal to the victims. And by that, I mean like what occurred to them. That's why, you know, I, for one, think that if you took down the house, you basically would be it'd almost be like out of sight, out of mind. And it would be like, oh, did something bad happen where that was? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, I think that, you know,
Totally agree.
I don't wish it for the families, but by the same token, the shock value needs to remain. So just the actual brutality of this crime, you know, is not forgotten.
With regards to the house, though, Gregory, I feel that. And it was really important for us, to those who have followed the Alec Murdaugh case, to those jurors who were able to visit the site and get a feel for it and understand it based on the testimony of the expert witnesses and to the direct witnesses. I think it's going to be critical for them, when they're in panel, to have the opportunity to walk the space, to look out from behind the house and see directly into it. There were no like window coverings, like there was just a direct line of sight. It was a voyeur's dream. And if we
Yeah, you're
understand
right.
them from the perspective of a psychopath, somebody who is wired differently, and it's just enamoring to somebody with these type of tendencies to be able to just go there and visit 12, 14 times and get a sight for that, for the feeling of the victims. And
Yeah.
I do believe that they were being stalked, they were being watched. And to Kelly's point, for those affected directly or indirectly by the tragedies, I think that it is horrific that they are not able to speak their piece openly.
Yeah. I agree. I asked another question and thank you guys. This helps. And I'm gonna read the answer here. Okay, I got it. So the question I asked was from Tell It to L, and I don't know if you were posing it to these guys or not, but I tossed it to them. How do we know that they are truth tellers, not frat brothers continuing the cover up? So here's the answer. Continuing what cover up which was exactly what I thought. Listen, no one in this frat had anything to do with what happened. I almost don't want to answer this Q, and he means question, because it's laughable. If we were trying to cover something up, no offense to Kel, but we'd be going bigger than Kelly's channel, which is a good point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bigger picture here. You have to understand that there is a side of humanity that is less than human. And
Yep.
that is the type of creature that committed these offenses. Whether it's Brian Koberger or not, it is less than human and it is psychopathic.
Yep, I agree. And I just put Midge's question out there to them. It's just the one that's answering, but I'm texting to both of them. There were other rumors that students were there when police arrived. Is that true? So there's your next question. So I'm just going to wait for an answer here. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, you're making a good point, DC, and thank you very much. It's scary. It's terrifying.
You have to understand that the student's frame of mind was not prepared for this sort of evil to impact their lives.
That's right.
There has to be some sense of grace for these victims, whether they are roommates or whether they are brothers or sisters or friends or family. But people that have lived longer like us, Kelly and Gregory, we can understand and submit to the fact that there are people out there that are not like us.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. So I have an answer to the question. There were other rumors that students were there when the police arrived. Is that true? And he says, yes, other students were there when police arrived. I think Kelly has talked about that, and I have. And then he says, that is their real life nightmare to talk about or not. I don't feel I should say anything more about that. I'm sorry if it's disappointing, the answer, but I hope you understand. So, yes, there were other students there. Yeah.
And it's kind of unfair if you consider yourself from the perspective of the students and just their level of not understanding. What we have come to understand in the true crime community, that some people are just not like us. There are
that's right.
predators, and they don't care about us. They don't have empathy. They don't have the same feelings that we do. So these students, they don't have any basis or scope of understanding for that. Gregory, what do you think?
Yeah, as far as the like the subhuman factor you're referring to of people walking among us, is that what you're meaning exactly?
DC, he wants you to clarify the question. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, these people have no way. They don't, excuse me. I mean, they have no way of feeling empathy for anyone, except for themselves and what they want. And I believe that myself, that while a lot of these people are made, I think there is a certain percentage of them that are born that way. Like, I mean, physically, their brain's not put together right.
Right. Their amygdala is underdeveloped. There's a genetic component. There is nature versus nurture. I believe all that. But they do exist. And when you're 20 or 21 years old, you have no frame of reference for that. And we need to give these students the grace. Because when I was 20 or 21 years old, guess what? I wanted to see the good in everybody. And I had to learn the hard way that some people are just not the same as the rest of us, that have empathy and have caring and understanding and can see things from other people's point of view.
Well, that's a good point, and I've often asked myself, has the world gotten worse, or do we hear about it more because of social media and the fact that when something occurs now, where we used to wait for it to show up on the local news or the national news, now it's instantaneously on, YouTube, on a news station. But really, if you look back to when, you were that age, as I have, there were serial things going on and mass, unalivings going on back then too. And sometimes I think that for whatever reason, people just end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, due to no fault of their own. And
I think it's more though now.
Well,
I think it's more because people
it may be
that have that proclivity or that drive for anonymity or just being completely, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to
go
say
ahead.
this. I think when the family dynamic fell apart, I think that myself, and I'll shut up here, but I think that you have especially a lot of angry young men that have gone back for at least a couple of generations, that are just, angry at the world. And, why is that? Is it possibly?
And not feeling their place in the world.
Yeah, that's right. Here.
Right. Yeah.
I have another answer to a question. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you guys. I'm so appreciative you're here. Thank you so much. And I like the conversation you're having. So the next question I asked, oops, sorry, my phone just went, okay, was for the sorority guys. They're fraternity guys, honey. Sororities for the girls. Delta, Delta, Delta. I'm just kidding. I know. Thank you for your question, honey bun. What do they know about the reason they didn't call the police right away? So this was a response. It surprised me a little bit. I'm going to talk to him about it another time. But he says, I don't know. And I go back and forth with my own feelings on that. And I'm also asking your permission, friend, if I can expand on that a little bit after I read your response, because it's something we've talked about. No one has talked to or even seen B, so that's Bethany, since the horrible event. And what I've heard, I think he means D or Dylan, has said doesn't sit well with me, but I can't imagine being in her position. I'm just being honest. So I really don't have an answer to that question. I just don't know. So, this really,
That's valid.
Yeah, this really, guys, touches on the reason why these guys are so, and some people have made kind of derogatory or snide comments about, why they're so hung up on, well, why do they have to get so upset about, people saying that students knew earlier the 911 call was being made. Well, they take it personally as human beings, as friends, as young men. If they knew, they would have done something. And that's the big deal. So everybody who keeps asking, what's the big deal? That's the big deal. Imagine if it was one of your best friends this happened to. And then people are saying, oh, well, everyone knew hours before. And that, kind of, lassos you into the group of everyone who knew hours before, implying that you were one of those who did nothing. How would that make you feel? I ask,
Well, in reality,
oh wait,
Kelly,
go ahead. Go ahead.
What could have been done? I mean, they were
Nothing
strategically-
could have been done, but from their perspective, they would have done everything they could have done, which is to alert the authorities. Now, Rosie asked if she wanted to know if Dave G is one of the guys that I've been talking to. And Rosie, it is absolutely, or not Dave G. I don't know why I said Dave G. It's totally someone different. If Dave, the guy known as Dave, the guy who is been heard on Truth and Transparency and Drunk Turkey Show, is he one of the two I've been in touch with? No, absolutely not. I have no idea who he is. These guys have no idea who he is. No, fair question. Thank you, Rosie. But no. And then Jeannie, well, I'm texting a little bit with Jeannie sometimes. And, you know, I guess there's some people in chat asking about a fight at the Sekai house. And, you know, I asked them about that too. We've talked about it before, and they don't know what anyone is talking about. There was a little personal kind of bicker between some relevant people in this case. I've talked about that before in videos. I don't really want to get into it tonight because I want to talk to these guys before I talk about it again, because I already may have overstepped my boundaries on it. But it sounds like you guys are asking, was there like a big fight at the fraternity house? And, you know, this is something that we have touched on before. And, you know, like I say about everything they say, I believe them. And there was not like a big fight. That's just more of the false narrative.
I mean, Kelly, how do you expect anyone to act? People are going to lash out because this is something beyond their scope of reference. This is beyond their scope. Something like this is just unimaginable and unheard of.
Not human comprehension until you experience it. And it really touches on one of the reasons why people are so fascinated with true crime. And true crime is now such a popular genre, which touches on the reason why people cannot silence YouTube creators from talking about certain cases or certain aspects of certain cases, a la the Watts case, because this human fascination with true crime exists because we understand these things happen. We hear about them in great detail, like Gregory was saying. Wait a minute, let me finish. Because of social media, and this is, you know, a psychological, I mean, it's a very complicated fact. I can't explain it all, but this is something that is known in psychology, that humans will tend to perseverate on elements of like the human dynamic that their brain cannot fathom. And really what it does is it goes back to Darwinism and the sense of self-preservation and survival for ourselves and our families that is prevalent in all human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You said it. We don't understand it.
Yeah.
Because as
and
normal people, we don't understand it. Gregory, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was going to say, and I think for a lot of people, one of the things they have trouble really comprehending is because in their mind, it doesn't make sense, is how could the fraternity house be that close and them not know? Okay, well, by the same token, you know, how do people slip into a home and unalive somebody, and not this case, but unalive somebody and leave others? You know, I mean, your common sense, you go, well, you know, how can that be? Like it couldn't happen, but it does happen, you know, and it happened here because I'm sure on that Sunday morning, it was just a normal Sunday over at the frat house. And my guess is most of those people sleep in late, you know, and you know, maybe they get up and go eat a late breakfast or something, but you know, it never crossed anybody's mind.
We were all that age once, right? So we understand.
That's
if you don't have to get up early on Sunday morning, you don't. If you don't have little kids, you're going to sleep in on Sunday morning.
That's right. That's right. Here, I have the answer or the response to just a couple other questions. They're all very short. So Bubbly Waters asks, have they ever seen or met Brian? The response is pretty simple. Never seen the scumbag. Hope he burns in hell. And I certainly understand that sentiment. And I don't know why. If I have a chance, I can sort of imagine why. But Agape Love asked, was there anyone kicked out of the frat prior to the tragedy? And he's just declining to answer. So I'm going to respect that. Okay. And then Midge asks, were there drugs in the house where this happened?
Yes.
Well, hold it. I still got it. Sorry, he's not done with his response, but I'll tell you when it's finished. Sorry, he's sending in a couple.
Okay, I'm
separate
sorry.
texts. No. Go ahead, honey. You're good. I'm waiting here. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there were definitely drugs in the house. What else explains the reaction? They were afraid to come forward because they had drugs on them. I mean, that's plain to me. Gregory?
Well, the only thing I'll say is look, they were college kids. They were away from home, and yeah, they probably smoked some, weed, probably did some shrooms. But do I think they were doing any kind of hard drugs there? No. I mean, they were obviously making great strides in school. Maddie.
There was a balance, right?
Maddie earning her business degree. Kaylee with her earning her degree, and then and Xana and Ethan well on their way
Yes.
to their academic accomplishments. So yeah, did they have fun? Did they like to party? Sure they did, but what college student doesn't that's away from home? I mean, I don't give the drug thing or the drug connection or anything one bit of credibility.
Well, he the answer to his question was, I'm sorry. The question was, there any drugs in the house? So here's the answer. He says, I don't think I should say any more about that now. Kelly can speak on this. She already knows. Ooh, thanks, dude. So, okay. So I have, are you sure I can speak on this? And so if you can just text me that, I'm going to kind of wait until I say anything more. So I have talked about this before. Okay. I am allowed to speak on this. So, all right. Well, from what I understand, from everything I've learned, including from these guys, that listen, like DC just said, they're all in college, right? Were there things going on in that house? Yes, there were. And Gregory, to your, just said, like shrooms and some like ganja. Occasionally, Gregory, according to what I've learned, sometimes it was a little more than that, but that's not abnormal for a college campus. I have in previous live streams gone into a little more detail on what specifically that was, but because of his answer right now, I just don't feel comfortable really saying anything more about that right now, because I'm not trying to of anything I want to do here. It is not to sully the memory or the reputation or the good lives that any of these victims lived. So for that reason, I don't want to say anything more about that.
Well, I can speak from experience, Kelly. When you're that age, you're trying to strike a balance, right? Between all the studying and all the hard work and getting your degree and living up to the expectations. But you also have this other side that demands that you just explore yourself and learn about yourself. And some of that in college is explicit use of, don't want to get you struck on your channel, but like illegal substances, right? So
right, yeah. I mean, that was part of
normal.
my college experience. I'll be honest. I mean, and you know what? And I was somebody who was, I did very well in school. I went to a highly reputable university. I graduated with a 3.6 or something or other. And you know what? I was in Delta. Sorry, sorority sisters, but pretty much everyone around me, was there anybody who was doing those things like chronically? No, because then that does send you down, then you start to circle the drain, right? We know that chronic substance use and abuse causes your life to go downhill. But everywhere that I looked, of people I knew, people were dabbling in things. I feel my experience is it is part of college life.
Yeah, there has to be an outlet when you're working that hard and you're that focused on your future there has to be an outlet. And it's
Right.
just normal. And I'm sorry.
And there are healthier outlets, but at that age, especially, some people choose the unhealthy outlet, and you live and you learn, right? That was my experience.
Well, you do. I mean, you don't do
Mhm.
that when you're 40 like me
Right.
and you, but
Right.
like you do that when you're 20 because you're exploring and trying to learn about yourself and learn about your boundaries and learn
Right.
about what you have to offer. But you need an outlet because it's going to be something that's so daunting to
Mhm.
a younger person to be able to compete in that adult community, in that adult sphere of competition in the corporate world.
Yeah, that's right. Now I got a question, answer this question too. So Francis Foley asks, did they hear anything about an overdose or shooting prior to the actual news? And the response is, thanks for the question. So I can be super clear. No. Before, right around the time of that 911 call, it was a normal day, just like every other day. So, yeah, nothing, and this is something they've said again and again, nothing until everything went sideways in the biggest, most dramatic way you could imagine, devastating, life-shattering way you could imagine, like we know it did. They've said time and time again in a number of ways during our conversations that nothing was outstanding, remarkable, or different about that morning until it was, which no one, well, they don't know like a specific time, 11:52 and 80, and I was going to say 81 seconds, 11:52 and 8 seconds, but it was what, kind of they say is around the time, like in this answer, around the time of the 911 call.
And people have a problem with that, right? Because there were other people in the house. They called Ethan's best friend. They called people in to deal with the situation for them because they couldn't handle it. And you know what? I understand that kind of. I haven't been faced with that, but I can understand just being petrified. Just, it's not abnormal.
Listen, there was a time when it was when I was in law school, and my downstairs neighbor, it was really weird. My key broke. There was a main door, and you go in the main door, and if you turn to the right, there was a doorway to the downstairs apartment. If you just went straight ahead, there was a doorway to the upstairs apartment, which was me. So the key that was just in my apartment, the night before, I had broken my key in the lock, like the came like half off. So the part that unlocks it was stuck in the lock. So, I called maintenance or whoever to come fix the lock. So it's like 7:30 in the morning. I hear a knock on the door. I mean, God, this timing was just incredible. And so I say, come in. Not like normally I would be like, oh, if there's a knock on the door at 7:30, that wouldn't be normal, right? But because of my key had broken in the lock, I say, come in. So dude comes in. It's the man of the house, my downstairs neighbor, was a man and a wife and 2 young children. They were immigrants from Kosovo. And so he comes up, some weird things happen. I'm just going to tell you, he tries to sexually assault me. I end up being able to get him away because I had watched an Oprah Winfrey show just like a couple weeks before that was about self-defense, women's self-defense. And I remembered that if somebody's attacking you, like there were these different strategies, but the one popped in my mind is if you just stop fighting back and relax your muscles and physically stop force against them or whatever, you might be able to find a moment where you can kind of thrust them off you or get away or whatever. And that's what I did. And that's what happened. So I was able to grab my phone and I ran with my clothes half off and just a mess. So, who did I call? Did I call 911 right away? No, I didn't. I called my boyfriend because I was scared and I didn't know what to do. And I don't know exactly what was going through my head. I knew it, but then he's like, listen, okay, I'm turning around. I'm going to be right over there. Call 911. So guess what? It ended up that this guy, when the police looked into this, it ended up that this guy had done this to 2 other people. You guys are both in Texas right now. One was a young girl in Texas. Her father was a priest or a pastor. I don't remember. And so she I read like the police report. She didn't press charges. It sounded like because it would be embarrassing to the family. And I honestly don't remember the details of the other one, but I remember there were 2 incidents before. So I'm like, you know what, motherfucker, I'm pressing charges. So we went to court, and this guy who's an immigrant from Kosovo, they seemed pretty kind of poor to me, had this like kick butt attorney. So like, let me get to the point, Kelly, get to the point. Okay. So I ended up being questioned on the stand for, guys, it literally was hours. I couldn't even believe it. It was just like so nerve wracking. I remember very vividly bits and pieces. Then I don't remember a lot, you know, but one of the major points and it was one of the only things that they had against me was that I called my boyfriend before I called 911. And it was so devastating to me because I couldn't explain why I did it. That's what I did, you know?
Mm.
So
Kelly,
that's what I
oh
had
my
to
God.
say. Yeah,
Wow.
that was
Dear
a long time
God.
ago. Yeah, that was 23 years ago now.
No, it's
Yeah.
just
Did anything happen to the guy?
Yeah, he got, well, when I went to, you know, met with attorneys, it was the prosecutor's office. It was in Union County, New Jersey. I lived in well, I don't want to say because it starts getting doxy, right? But it was Union County, New Jersey, right near New York City.
Mhm.
Anyway, the prosecutor convinced me to drop down one level of charges. So instead of attempted rape, which is what it was, the charge was, I don't remember, but it was something different and it was lesser. And what that meant was a difference between a jury trial and a trial just with a judge. So I didn't go for the higher charge, even though, and here's a lesson too, guys, always go with your gut. If something happens to you and you feel like the right thing to do is to go with the actual charge, calling it what it is, go with that. I've always regretted that I didn't go with the charge that called it what it was, you know?
Okay.
So anyway, because I lessened the charge, it was just the judge trial. So he was convicted of whatever charge that was. I have the paperwork somewhere deep in my files. I think some of this I've just kind of almost like repressed in my head. But the most gratifying thing to me was when the judge said to me, because what his attorney did to me on the stand was humiliating. And he said to me, listen, you are a strong young woman. And I know if you didn't do what you did, we would be here in a jury trial on higher charges than what they are today. And I just want you to know that I know that. So,
that was his attorney.
No, the judge said that to me. But yeah, his attorney humiliated me on the stand. And the only person that was there in my support was my boyfriend at the time. And he got kicked out because he, explained some things during the trial because they were being so vicious to me on the stand. He just couldn't help himself. Like I didn't want my parents to come. I was embarrassed, it was embarrassing to me. But yeah, he did get convicted, and I believe that he got deported, which, then I felt guilt because what about his family? So I don't know, man. What about his family? He kept doing this to women, and I did what I thought was right,
Good for you.
I mean, and
whatever
the natural consequence was of what he did, I had to let go of any guilt around that because.
And maybe it wasn't enough, really.
Yeah.
If you had gone with your gut and done what you knew was the truth, maybe it would have been different.
Maybe, yeah.
I do believe that this kind of speaks to your passion about this case. When you're that age and you're confronted with these elements.
That's right, yeah.
There is something to be said about that. And I think you can speak to it.
That's right. Yeah, what? I hadn't even had that awareness about myself, DC. Thank you very much. So I've asked the question, they're answering the question right now from Tella to L. Do they have an opinion about Emma and D? So they sent me an answer and then quickly sent, and wait, don't say that. So I'm waiting for the actual answer. Okay. All right. Go ahead,
Kosovo.
guys.
I mean, what year was this, Kelly? Like
It was
during the war.
Yeah, it was. Well, okay, it was right around 9/11. It was 2001.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
after the war. And,
Yeah, I'm sure that they came here as a result of the war. I think they were probably refugees.
Yeah.
But damage had been done to this
Yeah.
person. And
Yeah. And I feel, and I, in a way, even after what he did to me, I feel a lot of empathy for that. But I also just feel like he had to be stopped. If there wasn't a record of him doing this time and time again, I probably wouldn't have pressed charges because I didn't want to. It was a big decision for me and I didn't take it lightly and it took me a while to make, but well, he's going to keep doing, I think even then I understood enough about behavior. I mean, now I'm a behavioral therapist, but I think even then, behavior is something I've always been very interested in, human behavior. And I think I understood enough then, certainly to know that if I didn't do something, he was going to keep doing it. And I think I also understood that usually perpetrators like this, sometimes with each crime, they get more extreme. And I couldn't live
emblazoned.
knowing that, yes, and not have done, and I could have not done something about it. I think that double negative works there. I'm not sure though.
I would have thought every time he did that and got away with it, it just would have reinforced his behavior to continue doing it.
Yes, that's right, Gregory. Perfectly said.
Kelly, I'm sorry to probe here, but the way the defense made you feel, I want to explore that a little bit more because, that's their job to relentlessly and feverishly defend their client.
Sure.
But if you're an actual victim, how did that make you feel at the time?
Oh my, it was absolutely traumatizing. It was horrible. It was humiliating. It was, I mean, I don't think I've ever felt that. I don't think I had ever felt that way before. And I don't think I've ever felt that way since. There's moments of being on the stand when he was questioning me and that are just like burned in my memory. And I remember that when my boyfriend was kicked out of the courtroom, it was this feeling of dread, like my life was ending. Like it really was terrible. It was invasive. I remember talking about it with, my friends and my boyfriend, saying that, you feel like you're being, assaulted all over again. And you really do. But now it's by somebody who knows how to do it. It's like, it's very bad. Yeah. It's a very bad feeling.
Do you think, Kelly, that's why a lot of women who end up suffering the the horrible crime of being AR'd, when they're put on the witness stand, they're almost made to feel like they were inviting it or something?
Yes, Greg.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Because you already feel so vulnerable and you already are. I mean, if their experience is anything like mine, and I know that it has because I've talked to other people, I've been in, and then when I got into psychology, this was one of my fields of study. This was one of my field experiences working with women who had been abused, who had been sexually abused. You question yourself, you question all of your decisions before and after. Did I do anything to make it happen? And did I do something after it happened that put me in the position that I'm in right now to feel like it's happening all over again? It's bad.
The system is kind of set up to make you feel that way because it's your word against theirs. And unfortunately, there's still that kind of free pass. Sorry, my husband is talking. But there's still that free pass. Young men to behave atrociously and be given the boys will be boys narrative.
Yeah, no, that's not boys will be boys. That's right. No. That's not an excuse. Definitely not. But thank you guys for listening and for your compassion. I just want to, and I don't want to like just brush off. I want to just answer these. I have a couple other answers to questions here. So Tell It to Al asks, and I think it's important to get his response out to this too. And good question, Tell It to Al. Thank you. Do they have an opinion on Emma and Dee? So she's talking about Emma Bailey and her boyfriend Demetrius. So Emma Bailey and her boyfriend Demetrius are known to be substance dealers in the area. In fact, Demetrius is now under the charges of, I don't know, we looked it up during the last stream. The charges were dropped for Emma, but basically they provided something to a student. And oh gosh, Eva, what's his, I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting his name. Is it Caleb? Over spring break, he died of an OD, and they were the people that provided the substance. And so there's some charges relating to that. So Tell It to L's question is, do they have an opinion on Emma and Dee? And the response is this, from the same one person who's been responding the whole time, who's the first person I've been in contact with. I don't know if these guys are together. Well, are you guys together? Let me know if you guys are together, because I'm only here from one of you, which is okay, but just let me know so I can explain to people. All right. He says, all I know is the things that have been said about Emma and Xana are not true. Xana was a very fun young woman, and she did her thing, but not like what's been said. Okay, so if you don't know what's been said, that might seem a little like not clear, but I get you. If you do know what's been said, that should be as clear as day. Now, this is something that we have talked about with them at length, that some of these things that are don't reflect well on Xana's character, are either, according to them, just plain untrue or gross exaggerations.
No, I don't know about that.
I don't either,
Yeah.
but I don't need to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no. It's better that I don't want to be part of continuing those rumors. So then Eva Bell, your question's up next. Have the police questioned you, kids? So I just put it out there. I'm going to text it to you guys too, and this is WSU Kim, guys. I'm just going to be straightforward with you, but I think you know that. So as long as, I just want you to be clear on that. It's Kim. She's asking, have the police questioned you, kids? And I'll wait for the answer. And then I'm going to take like maybe one more, and that'll be it. Okay, go ahead, guys.
I mean, from what I can see, Xana and Ethan were not the targets of this horrific crime. It was somebody on the third floor. There was no reason to go on to the third floor if the second floor victims were the targets. Gregory?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, Gregory?
I definitely feel like that the target was upstairs. I personally think that the target was Maddie. And the reason I say that is because I saw a picture of, I can't remember if it was an old classmate of BK's or something. I honestly, I cannot remember, but she looked almost exactly like Maddie. It may have been a girl that he knew, that BK knew in school or something, that rejected him or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think that the target was Maddie.
I agree too, and I know that so many people do not agree, but I 100% agree that the target was Maddie. Kelly, what do you think?
I agree. Yep. I think it was Maddie too. I think it was Maddie, and I also think that the way that he, was exposed to these young women was at at Mad Greek, and I think it was Maddie.
Yeah.
I think that our instincts are not wrong.
Yeah. So I have an answer to the question to Kim's question, and she just asked if the police have questioned them, and he just says, "Hi, Kim. Yes, they have, and we've answered." That's all he said. Which probably, I think most people would assume that, so that's not too exciting, but there's your answer. I already knew that. I don't know if you'd, yeah, it sounds like, I think, stop me if I'm not okay to expand on this, guys, but it sounds like for the most part, let's say, I don't know if it was like the whole fraternity, but at least those who, I almost said something with too much information, but that were like good friends with Ethan were questioned more than once.
Yeah, but I never really thought Ethan had anything to do with it, or Xana.
No,
Really.
no,
They
these
were
guys
just
don't either.
collateral damage.
Yeah. These guys, I mean, without even asking the question, I can tell you guys, I know what these guys think. They do not think that Ethan or Xana were the targets. You know, we've talked about the different theories of, you know, how anyone became a target. Was it Kaylee or Maddie? I don't know it, you know, we've all basically agreed that it was Kaylee or Maddie, and I don't know exactly what they think, but it's speculation on all of our parts.
But
you know,
the three of us up here right now agree it was Maddie, because Kaylee wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah, no, I know. And hey, thank you guys for all of your empathy and stuff. I'm just seeing in chat, you guys are saying, oh, you know, I'm sorry for that experience stuff. I really very, very much appreciate that. I really do. So thank you guys. I just want you to know that I'm noticing that. And it really, really does mean a lot to me. Because even though it was 23 years ago, it's still like definitely like a raw spot in my memory and in my heart, you know? Yeah.
You know, I hate to use the term collateral damage because I feel like it sounds so impersonal when it comes to
it does.
lives.
Because they
But
were human.
I really believe that Ethan and Xana were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, because I think the intention was to slip in and go upstairs, not realizing that they would be sleeping in the same bed together. And so that was the first surprise. And then I think, you know, coming downstairs, you know, he encountered one and then the other, and ended up, you know, we ended up with 2 more lives lost.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that's, and I feel like, you know, the evidence, as far as we do know it to be, I feel like that's what it tells us to. Wait, I just want to answer this one thing really quickly. So, hi Jennifer Griffith, welcome. Glad you're here. Says, y'all act like drug use is expected of all college students. Talk about pure speculation. No, I don't think that. I just said personally that was my experience, and you know, maybe I was on the wrong side of the tracks, but a lot of people that were around me, that was their experience. I mean, I had one roommate who absolutely positively would not do anything like that for sure. And I certainly knew other people who wouldn't, but I guess because, you know, I was not a lily white saint in college. I guess that people that I was around perhaps were similar, and that was my experience. I certainly don't think it should be expected. And I see some other people are saying that they didn't do that, and like, that's awesome, good for you. You know, I guess the point that I'm trying to make, and even sharing that, which is something I really wasn't trying to share in the first place, is that, you know, if there was something like that going on, it's not uncommon. I think I don't have the authority or the knowledge or the data to say if it's, you know, it's more common that people do or more common than people don't, but it doesn't make them bad people. That's what I'm saying.
Kelly, I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, that was my experience. I'm sorry if that's not palatable for people in chat, but sometimes it is the experience of people to explore and find an outlet in college when it's, you know, when you're faced with that and when you have the opportunity to partake in that kind of lifestyle. Yeah, that might be what happens. And I think it happens a lot more than you might want to think out there, but it does happen.
Yeah,
and I think
right.
that's what happened here.
That's exactly why, you know, I kind of put myself out there offering, you know, a little antic about personal experience, is just to bring home the point that it's not just conjecture. I'm not just speculating. Actually, I'm speaking from my personal experience, and I understand that it is just my experience, but it is what it is. I also just want to clarify that thank you so much. Tell it to L. Tells us that the young man whose life was ended so sadly over spring break And Demetrius is now facing charges relating to providing the substance to this person. His name was Caleb Young. So we're very sorry about Caleb losing his life, and very, very sorry to his family, who is no doubt suffering right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big burden to bear.
Yeah. Super sad. And that's, kind of likewise. And to this point, sometimes I think, certainly not everyone feels this way, but, there have definitely been people, and geez, even on this channel, who have commented, talked about, said, if someone passes a result of an OD, well, it's their fault. But no, it really isn't, because as I've also said many times on this channel, that the human brain does not finish developing or maturing, we should say, until the age of, generally speaking, in the average human, 25 or 26 years old. And the last part of the human brain to fully develop or mature is the frontal lobe of the brain that is responsible for sound reason and decision making. So especially when somebody is so young, I mean, it's not their fault. And even if somebody is 50 years old and they, die of an OD, it's not their fault, because that's what they did. There's probably some terrible tragedy or pain or abuse or that has happened in their life that is causing them so much pain. They don't know how to deal with it, and they choose to deal with it in ways that are not in line with, living a vibrant life, but we cannot say it's their fault.
Yeah, and for those of us who can understand that and look at it logically and accept the science and know from experience, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Because people don't always have that mindset.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Now, let's see. If anybody has any more questions. So, Tell says, are they still going to school there next year? If there's any more questions, get them in really quick, because they're about done. Are they going to school there next year? Okay, so let's find out. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Tell. The answer is yes, ma'am. Yep. So it gives you a bit of information about what year they might be, which I was trying to avoid, but okay, that's all right. So, yeah.
Yeah, in reality, there needs to be some kind of grace given to these young people whose frontal lobes are not developed, who don't have the experience that Gregory or Kelly or I do, that haven't lived that life, and maybe don't see from the bigger picture, from the expanded view. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, and I tried to see the good in people. And it was, honestly, Kelly, it was the Chris Watts case where I finally understood that people are not always good, that there is something inherently wrong in them, and that there is something different about them. And we need to be able to perceive that to protect ourselves.
That's right. That's right. You're right. I just got to ask really quickly. Tell to L. I just read this comment, and I would put it out to them. I think it's for them, but I'm not sure what you're talking about, actually, sweetie. It says, I don't want to get detailed, and I don't want you to get too detailed if it's too much, but can you ask if the rumors are rumors in regards to the horrific things that have been out there? Like, can we put that to bed? I mean, obviously the most horrific thing that's happened is that those 4 young people lost their lives, but I really truly am just not sure what you're referring to. And I just got a question mark from him too. So I think that's what that means too. And they just offered up a question on this. He just said, don't know much about Papa R. So that must be to that, Macrotus.
Papa Roger, the incel?
Yeah. Well, remember the on Reddit, the Reddit handle or whatever.
I thought it was Facebook.
Yeah. No, that was I think that was Reddit. I'm pretty sure that was Reddit. And this person, just knew so much about, actually bring something up on it about the crime. He just knew so much about the crime. Here,
well, I mean, in all transparency, I did not see the Dateline.
Oh, maybe it is face. Oh, go ahead.
I do believe that was Kohberger. I do believe that. Sorry.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
no, you're right. It was fake. Well, I just put it into Google here, and it looks like it was. Oh, and Reddit. Okay, I'm not sure. Oh, there's a Reddit. It looks like it was Facebook. Okay, it was Facebook. You're right. You're right. Yep.
No, I mean, look at the profile. He just
Yeah, I
knew
know.
things.
The picture, you mean?
Yeah, the picture
Yeah.
was just
I know. So many
the
people like here, I'll
little
bring it up.
hat. It was
Let me bring up the picture here. So what I'm showing you guys right now, obviously one is BK and the other one was, I know these guys know a little bit about, we've talked about a little bit, but it sounds like Macrotis J, for some reason they don't. I think they just I mean, I just know, as you can imagine, the utter disgust that they have for this man is like, I think sometimes it's just like, you don't even want to give him don't even want to give him the mental energy of them thinking about it or
that's
responding
the
to
same
anything about
person.
him.
It's like so bizarre on point. It's
I mean, I see that
bizarre.
definitely we got the jawline really is, and the
bone structure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what's up with the hat? Is he trying to claim like some kind of valor with
I
the
don't
U.S. Armed
know.
Forces? I don't get it.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't like stolen valor. Hopefully not.
I
don't know.
I don't either. Wow.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, on Memorial Day of all days, was this person trying to claim valor that was not?
I don't know.
Well, it may be that the only profile picture he could find like that was a balding guy, so he put the cap on him. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know that I've just, this is all I really know about it. As I read the posts and, just like listen, it just felt like he knew things. I just have a feeling it was him. I don't really have a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
I think it was him too. Just a gut feeling.
Yeah.
But the knife and USMC, I mean, that's stolen valor. And that's not okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, that you make a good point there. That is a connection. I mean, yeah, the knife with exactly. I mean, the sheath, yeah, that's disgusting. That's another level of disgustingness to this man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a good point, DC.
Yeah.
I mean,
like he was
innocent
trying to make
until proven guilty, right? But
yeah, allegedly and all that.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, that would make. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That would make sense then with the hat and when you factor the hat in with the knife as far as the valor goes, the military hat with the
Yeah,
totally. I have a big effing problem with that. I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
And tell it to L. They also said that they don't know about the red Mustang. Sorry. I don't think they're trying to be evasive or anything, guys. I think they just really don't know. They've been really open to, answering questions here. So I'm just seeing if there's any more that are in here, and then we're going to be done with the questions. But thank you guys for your questions. And he just said, thank you for the questions and thank you for being respectful. I look forward to being able to speak someday. Let's see. And he just said thank you to Kelly. Well, yeah, no problem, man. Yeah. So thank you for thanking me, I guess.
And Kelly, just to clarify, is your contact basically being under the thumb of the gag order right now?
No, not the gag order. When the gag order was first a thing, we talked about that. I connected him with somebody who I know, the person who I call my channel legal consultant, who's my friend Alex, who's been, my law friend who's been helping me figure out some legal things having to do with true crime cases that we talk about for a long time when he's available. Right now, he's super busy with a huge case, so he's not very available. But he wasn't sure, so I connected them, and he explained I was on part of that. We use Google Meets with them. but I had to go because I was also at work. Well, I mean, I was on my lunch hour and then I had to go back to work is what I mean, everyone. That they are not technically under the gag order because they are not under the imposition of the court. But what he, I've explained a few times, and this might ring a bell when I say it, is they felt as though, and he said it to me time and time again when we were first communicating before I even mentioned them on YouTube. And I really, they felt they were under both of them under a gentleman's agreement because they were aware of the stance that their fraternity had and the university had and just other student communities that they were a part of, as well as their family. They didn't want people to go and exploit this tragedy. The focus within the circles who are close to the victims is to keep the focus on the victims and their honor and their memory. And I think that, and I really respect, that community for taking that stance because, have you noticed how, I think it's amazing how few students or people close to this tragedy have actually spoken out. Really, it's quite amazing. Like so few, right? And part of it is the gag order. Perhaps some of it is confusion if people are under the gag order or not, because, this is another thing we have talked about, that just assuming that there's a portion of people that think because there's a gag order out there means that, if they say anything, they're going to get in trouble. But I know also from what they say and from what is kind of obvious, it seems like a lot of students must feel like they do, that they just don't want to say anything because they don't think it's the right thing to go and talk and talk and talk. And again, I was, communicating with him and then them for, I don't know, when did I even first mention that? I would have to do the math, but it was either 3 or 4 months before I even mention them on YouTube. And again, and there's something like smoking in my kitchen, I think. The reason that they started speaking out was because of when WSU Kim came out and was talking about all of the students knowing prior to the 911 call, they took that very personally and it was upsetting. I've got to go attend to my kitchen. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
It's all good.
Yeah, and there's that gentleman's agreement,
Yeah.
which kind of speaks back to my point about valor and about brotherhood and maybe sisterhood.
Yeah.
That you have an obligation based on your morality to do what the right thing is. Do
That's
the
right.
next best thing.
That's right. I don't know if you guys remember when my son came in, like, I don't know, it must have been a long time ago, and I told him to turn on the burner. Whoops, we forgot about that. So I had a pan that was like smoking in the kitchen. It was all good. Oh boy.
Kelly.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think, Gregory, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So going back to Papa Rogers, was that on that particular thread or post where he was actually reading something and his reflection was caught in the phone or the laptop?
Yeah.
Was that the one?
I think that was separate from that.
Okay.
But as I've, and I've taken a lot of flack for this, but I stand by it, especially now that we've heard his voice. I think that Facebook post where the reflection was caught, a little bit in the phone, I believe that's Koberger.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah, I do too.
I've explained why before, and I kind of like don't really have it in me to go through it all again. But yeah, I do believe it's him. I'll show a little bit of that in a second. Let me just thank you very much for the super chat, AF. And AF says, so it's going around that I took it off the burner, honey. Sorry. Could you open some windows in the back there? Because like there's smoke in the house. All right. Okay. But it's going around that everybody's got a victim's rights form. Everybody got one on January 3rd, except for Bethany. Wonder what's up with that. And these guys just responded to that, I think. Well, yeah, they must have, read that before I did When did you put that? 7 minutes ago? Okay. Oh, it was right after that. They just said that, Bethany ghosted after the event. So, and I know they haven't seen or heard from Bethany since. So I don't know if anyone knows anything about that. Does anyone here know anything about that?
I don't know, Kelly. But I can only imagine. I mean, she wasn't directly named in the affidavit, but she was on the first floor of the house, right?
Well, I mean, she was named in the probable cause affidavit. It just referred to her as being a roommate, right? It didn't quote. Well, and it does. What does it say about Bethany? And Led with Love, thank you so much for the super sticker, $20 super sticker. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for supporting the channel and showing some love. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
It talks about the digital footprint between her and Dylan's phone.
I mean, what my recollection is that she was on the first floor and that nothing was ever heard or spoken of her since the tragedy, right? So until recently,
yeah.
Yeah, when she had been called and then all of a sudden there was this indictment from the grand jury.
That's right.
That's all I know.
In the let's see, in the probable cause affidavit, I can tell you here, I'm going to pull it up. I will tell you the mentionings we have of Bethany. I mean, she's isn't she referred to as B in the affidavit itself? And let's see here. Oh, I have it on my other computer here. Let me just get my other one here. Where's the affidavit? Here, let me get it right here. I got it. Okay, just hold this one in my hand. Okay, I got it. All right, so what's said? All right.
Yeah,
Let me just,
I mean,
let me
to
just
my
control
knowledge,
F
there
her.
was no direct testimony from BF in the affidavit as far as laying eyes on the perpetrator.
Right.
I think you're right. I believe you're right about that. What it says is, let me I know what page it starts on. I've read this so many times. Okay, the investigation as part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. 2 of the interviews included BF and DM. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides, and the roommates to the victims. BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Now, then it also says, that's right, on the evening of November 12, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus. And
So
according
she
to
was
these
at
guys, by the way,
frat
just so
party.
you know, yes, these and our boys here confirm that. It also says in the affidavit, DM and BF both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m., with the exception of Kernodle, who received the DoorDash at 4 a.m. And we also know that she was on TikTok at 4:12, which just makes me want to throw up. Yep, and that's it.
So she was at the frat party with DM, and
She was at the
Ethan
frat
and Zena.
party. She was at the Bethany was at the frat party with Ethan and Xana. Dylan was not there. I haven't heard no mention of Dylan being there from these guys or anyone else. Was Dylan at your party, guys? Can you answer that? If you're willing? Also in the affidavit, it says the combination of DM's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phone, and video of a suspect. And a video of a suspect, video is described below, leads investigators towards believing the homicide occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. And people,
Kelly,
go ahead.
There's just one question I have. Was Dylan a resident of the first floor and then made her way to the second floor on that evening? I don't understand.
Her bedroom was on the second floor.
So the preliminary reports were incorrect.
The preliminary speculation was incorrect.
Yeah.
And thank you, Macrotis J, very much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. She says, thank you for your hard work you do in this case. Thank you. And thank you guys for being here, for your support and everything. I very much appreciate that.
Yeah. In that first presser that what was it, Chief Fry did, he got that wrong in terms of the
well, yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as she ended up on the first floor, DC, because it said she started out on the second floor.
So her floor was
the
second floor with
right.
Zena.
Right.
But initially, it was reported that she was on the first floor with Bethany, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's just what people speculated. I don't even think, I went back when we found out that, Dylan's bedroom was on the second floor. I really went back and scoured through the pressers and what Fry or anyone else, primarily Fry, had to say. And because I felt like he said that they were both had their bedrooms on the first floor, but he did not.
Okay. I'm wrong.
Yeah, I know. I felt like that was in my memory too. And I really was like looking for it. He did not, though. I mean, what he said, I think it was like easy to change in our minds, but he never said that. He never gave that level of specificity.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm coming from like YouTube and like Gray Hughes or whatever, but my understanding was that Bethany and Dylan were on the first floor.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Now American Princess brings up a good point. Hey, American Princess, thank you for helping me find that video on Chronicles of Olivia earlier. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you. It says search warrants for BK were the following: AT&T, Google account. She gives the dates: Tinder, Yik Yak, Twitter. Now, all of these, by the way, there were motions that were filed to seal the content of this information that was obtained by warrant, until I guess the trial. The list is actually longer than that. And it was interesting. Some people have made a big deal or have made something about the various cell towers that BK pinged off of in his travels. So some of you know, cell tower pinging is one of my areas of specialty based on one of my just short little careers as a site acquisition specialist it's a long story. But when you look at, when you read through the motions to the motions to seal rather, and you see the documents they're trying to seal, you will see that it certainly appears, I strongly believe that Brian Kohberger was using more than one mobile device. And I think that those pings are going to make absolute perfect sense.
Well, Kelly, at risk of sounding, totally dumb and naive, I don't know what Yik Yak is. And what do you think that the attempts to seal these records has on protecting the jury pool in this case?
Ask the question again. I'm sorry. I was reading and listening at the same time. Honestly, please ask.
Sorry,
that
Kelly.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what Yik Yak is, and also, in your
it's
opinion,
an anonymous messaging app.
What do you think that the attempts to seal or quash any I don't know what the words are right now, but what do you think that the attempts to stomp on the victims' families is serving for the jury pool?
I don't really understand your question. I'm sorry, honey. I think we're tired.
No, I'm sorry. My husband is snoring in the background.
Oh,
I'm self-conscious you're hearing him. But
I think I heard him. Honestly.
But as far as the jury pool, do you think that the attempts for the court to seal the documents and and basically just to shut down any kind of media presence for the families of the victims, what do you think that is serving as far as protecting the investigation?
You know, I really don't know, because there's 51 terabytes of discovery out there, which I heard from some source is 3 million pages of data. Now, of course, it's not going to all be in pages. There's going to be video, there's going to be audio. We really don't know what there's going to be, but there's going to be a combination of all those things, as there always is. So all of this has been sealed, gagged, suppressed. So, you know, I don't know what the impact is on the trial. Hopefully it is to preserve the evidence of the trial, so the trial's success is ensured. You know, I do know, you know, like from the perspective of these two guys, our friends Ike and Mike, you know, they feel that in a way it's frustrating right now, although they have said they may change their perspective later down the road if a successful trial plays out. Right now, it feels like all of the people, you know, hoping to, you know, spread false information throughout the airwaves or whatever are at liberty to do so. And those who actually have something meaningful to say are being prevented from speaking. So what are the legal implications? I couldn't even begin to guess.
And Kelly, based on your understanding of human behavior, how is this different than Chris Watts as far as the alleged perpetrator in the case? Are we talking about a more sadistic or specific?
Yeah, I think that I personally think that, you know, BK was on a path to do something like this for a very good portion of his life. I feel like Chris Watts was a, you know, slightly unstable, highly malleable, you know, chameleon of a human being. And he really could have gone every which way. And I believe for him, one of the great tragedies, you know, that one reason I continue to talk about certain aspects of the case is I believe that there is a heavy message in that case of, if you see something, say something, recognizing the signs of individuals and families in crisis, because I believe it was that crisis situation and sort of the imperfect storm that led to the horrible fates that it did. I don't believe that murder was always in the cards for him. I think for BK, it's starting to sound like it probably was.
So you think there was a deeper level of psychopathy for BK
I
than
do.
CW?
I do. I think that CW is more just of a wuss of a person. And I think not that BK has any strength whatsoever, but I think he was definitely more twisted. Yeah.
You know, I heard, and I can't remember her name now, but I heard this famed criminologist talking about a theory for BK, and she used the acronym JAR, and she said that the J stood for an extreme jealousy, seeing these like, you know, young people enjoying life and doing the things that he had never done and knew he couldn't do. And then that in turn led to this just internalized anger.
Yeah.
And then that in turn led to, this feeling of revenge and, and needing to punish them.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary.
JAR.
Mhm.
Jealousy, anger, revenge.
Right. Yeah.
Now, some people are asking, what is yik yak? So I'm just going to read. This is kind of interesting, guys, as it relates to Scumbucket here. Now, I know a lot of people, I think people definitely in chat, and certainly I've noticed recently in the comments on my videos are questioning whether BK is the guy. I'm just going to say I personally don't really have, no, I do not. I'm not going to qualify it. I don't have that question. I mean, I certainly respect that people do, and I understand. Well, I don't see that perspective exactly, but I get that a lot of you feel that way, is what I'm saying. But so let's assume
Kelly,
that BK is our guy.
Kelly,
Go ahead.
how do you understand that they don't accept that BK is the guy?
Well, I mean, I have a cognitive understanding that people are not accepting it because I'm hearing them say that. Cognitively, I feel like I don't feel I'm not sure what it is it's exactly that's making people question that, but I know that they are questioning it. How's that?
Why though?
I don't know. For those of you who don't think it's BK or you're strongly questioning it, please leave a comment in chat letting us know why. We're confused. So here, let me read this about Yik Yak.
Confused.
It says, Yik Yak is a micro-blogging app that allows people to post messages, yaks, without usernames. The mobile app aggregates and presents the posts of users within a 1.5-mile radius as a streaming data feed. Users can reply to messages anonymously and vote posts and replies up or down, a la Reddit. The app combines instant messaging and GPS technologies to enable posting within a specified geographical area. Geofencing can be used to block Yik Yak within specific areas. This is like a stalker's dream come true.
1.5 mile
Miles.
radius.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and your karma is a numerical score based on the upvotes and downvotes. So it's modeled off of Reddit, obviously, because on Reddit you have karma. Upvotes and downvotes. Users vote to raise or lower the scores of the yak. A higher score, the more it affects the karma. Yaks that reach a score of -5, on the other hand, are automatically deleted. Peak enables view-only access to Yik Yak communities, feeds, and other areas such as college or university feeds. What? That is truly a stalker's dream. New hot tabs, the option to switch between chronological feed and a feed of the most popular yaks based on upvotes. Other top yaks, the current Google image results from searches of the word yak. What? Typically all images are of the animals. My herd allows users to designate an area as their home, workplace, or campus as their base camp and post to it even when they're not in range. What? This is not good.
This should be illegal.
It says after Yik Yak launched in 2013, it was criticized for providing an anonymous channel for cyberbullying. Well, hell yeah, and stalkers. Wow. Multiple high-profile incidents led the developers to block the app near high schools and middle schools the following year. Thank God.
But
As a
not
mother, I thank you.
universities.
Yeah. And then it says, although Yik Yak enables anonymous posting, it doesn't mean the message can't be traced back to their sources. Users are required to provide a phone number to sign up. For Yik Yak stipulates they can provide police with the IP address, GPS coordinates, device details, and data and time for each message if supported by a search warrant, court order, or subpoena. What? Oh, this is
And
not
what's the
good.
burden for that?
Yeah, I don't know. God.
I mean, I
Yuck.
love
Yuck,
data. Kelly.
yuck.
You know I love data.
Yes.
And I appreciate the sophistication and the idea of the software, but what the actual Kelly? My
I
God.
know. I agree. And by the way,
Just
American Princess,
stop.
I wasn't saying you didn't know there were other search warrants. I just wanted to expand for the viewers that there was others too, honey. Yeah, I know. That's like crazy. Yikes,
No,
right,
I love
Gregory?
the
Man.
data.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah. Always.
Speaking like from a
Wow.
business point of view. But wow. If you dig deep and go into the realms of human or subhuman
Right.
existence, I think this is actually potentially super dangerous.
Oh,
And there
yeah.
should be red flags everywhere for any users of this streaming.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
as far as I
service.
understand it, which is not so great, but I just can't really imagine bye Doc Terry, thanks for being here. I can't imagine a use I personally would have for it.
I mean, if you love data, yeah, there's a use, but
Yeah, if I want to stalk data or if I want to
yeah,
stalk
if you're doing like a study,
I know.
like in reality, in a university setting, yes, the data can be valuable. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where the lines blur for Koberger.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't know.
God.
Kelly, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I like, I love me a good pie chart, but I don't think I love me a good yik yak pie chart. I don't know. I think it sounds like it goes too far.
Yeah,
It does to me.
goes real deep.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if the reason it's just my own, I guess, thought here, but I think probably one of the reasons why, because you think about the close proximity to the fraternity house to the house, and then we know that Koberger was obviously, stalking, the girls. I just want, I have a feeling that he was never seen around there during the day. It was all,
No.
his covert trips at night.
Yeah.
In the early
Yeah.
hours, right?
Yeah.
Very covert.
No, I think you're right. Now, I just want to clarify something. Bunda Data says also the car share driver who drove the girls home at 1:45. I don't know if this is something that was known, guys, but the driver was was a underclassman fraternity, like a young fraternity pledge. It wasn't just like some random person outside of the university. It was a university student.
Okay.
It's so well vetted.
Do people know that? I don't know if people know
No.
that. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I know
Did
that
not
to be
know
true.
that.
we ever get any clarification? The one question that I just really would like to know the answer to, and I don't know that it's ever going to be made clear, but I've often wondered, was that front door standing open or not?
I don't know. I'm sure I can imagine what's your, I feel like you have a very specific reason for wondering that. Good. Say more.
Well, because I think that the reason that Dylan probably made her way downstairs, and then that also brings up the fact that if she exited her room and then cut through what I would consider the main living room, there's no way she wouldn't have seen Xana lying in the doorway in that short hallway. But my thinking is that the odor became so putrid
Yes.
that she had to go downstairs. And to me, cracking that front door would have been one way to have alleviated some of the odor.
Okay. Well, you touch on a good point, which when we were talking earlier about how the 8-hour discrepancy between when this happened and the 911 call, I can't remember if I have some videos that have been forever in production that I haven't published. I can't remember if it was one I published or not, but in the video I was talking about all of the overwhelming things that would be in their senses after this murder occurred, the sounds, the smells, all of these things. to me, it makes it so unbelievable that it took 8 hours to call. And I mean, you touched upon one of the things that sometimes I don't want to say out loud, but here we are. That's a good question. I have no idea. Does anyone know that? Do you guys know that?
Kelly, I
Boys?
can speak to that.
Go for it.
It doesn't make sense to people on the outside. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
No, it doesn't. Right. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, remember, this was when it was cold, so the heat would have been on in the house. So that means that any kind of odor would have been circulating through the ventilation system. And can you imagine being in a small room that's closed up? How long could you tolerate that?
I mean, it's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't know if the odor would have been present through the ventilation system at that time. That's a very
I think,
scientific question. But
okay.
yeah, it does give us pause in understanding why the other roommates did not come forward and did not call 911.
Yeah.
It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I just it's really, I don't get it. I really, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I have nothing to say. It's just hard.
There's no frame of reference here. And
right.
Maybe
No, there's not. But remember that the downstairs room, based on when we saw the body cam footage from the calls to the house, had been essentially had become a storage room. Because if you remember, you could see Ethan's golf clubs in there. Remember the window that had the red curtains over it, or whatever those were.
Yeah.
So that would mean that if Dylan came downstairs, she most likely would have gone to Bethany's room.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I kind of get where Dylan was faced with the bushy-eyed stranger and just froze. But I don't understand where Bethany fits into the equation and what her experience was. And I do hope to understand that one day.
You know, something that I talked about in another video, and I learned this from these guys who learned it from others, and so take it for what it's worth, is that, and take it for what it's worth. And I think that they certainly would concede that they could be wrong on this, because it's not something that they had like firsthand knowledge of, but their understanding is Bethany was not really in the loop or in the picture of everything until shortly before the 911 call was made. Like, she was downstairs on the first floor. She did not actually see the perpetrator or BK. And I don't want to get off track here, but I want to read this.
It's different than Dylan's experience.
Very different. Yeah. Bundy Data, Bundy Data left this comment. Thank you, Bundy Data. Said, and I think Bundy Data is talking about when we were saying, some people are thinking that Brian Koberger is not the guy. What evidence is there on him? I think this is Bundy Data giving us a list. Bought knife and sheath online, bought black clothing, shoe size matches, animal hair in his apartment, left leather sheet, tried to hide trash, wore gloves a few weeks after the attack. All of the anecdotes and reports and testimonies from people saying that he was a changed person in the time frame that would be right after. Yeah, that's just some of it. Thank you, Bundy.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
This dude was definitely.
Yeah. And then Bundy Data also says he was there 12 times. I think this is the list continuing. Was at the college cafe. A tinge odd. So 2 guys left the cafeteria because he was so odd. So yeah, to this point, kind of, being right around the house 12 times. it was on one. I think when you look at the evidence, you're going to see possibly 2 times that he actually connected with a home router. I'm wondering this. So recently, I guess it was on the Dateline, and you know how I feel about that Dateline, but you know, that
Didn't
report
see
came
it. I'm
out
sorry.
about, watch. I want to hear what you think. Their report came out about a girl who lived on, or young woman who lived on the WSU campus, and she felt like somebody had like come into her house or something was weird. She talked to Koberger about it. Koberger offered to install a security camera system.
Yes, I've heard of this.
And then authorities now say that he had the ability to see into her apartment through that security camera system. It made me wonder if, you know, if he was in the range of the 1122 house so many times. And we know they had those parties where it was basically an open door, and people speculate that he was actually at those parties. Could he have actually installed something like that in their house and have known exactly what they're doing? I do believe, as I said,
he needed to.
Well, maybe he didn't, but I do believe, just from the motions to suppress or seal, I do believe it's going to turn out we're going to see he had 2 mobile devices, and I don't know. I think it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think
He
it's a
could see
possibility
right
too.
into that house.
Well, but let's consider
it
when
was
he
just
left
a-
his apartment in Pullman, Washington. He left at what? I think it was like 2:47 a.m. Maybe he knew exactly when to leave because he saw that's when everybody headed off to bed for real, you know? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm just speculating.
No, that's a really good
Possibly.
point. And you know, cameras like that can be hidden in ventilation systems.
That's right. They're like
Yeah.
pins. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep,
That's right.
they sure can.
He seemed to have a sophistication for software to
Yeah.
track and visualize and keep tabs on possible.
Yeah, he did. You know what? I want to see if I can.
Yeah.
Like the know-how was there.
It's on my other computer, but hold it.
Yeah, it was.
Let's see. It's a very interesting list. Let's see here.
Very sophisticated, technically.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, he was. And I kind of wonder myself if maybe, you know, he didn't somehow have some kind of, I don't know if it was maybe a friend or something on the force, but I just wonder if he had access to those body cam footages that were made to the house.
Well, Gregory, to me, it seems like there was no need because it was just all wide open. If you look at the Nancy Grace or the Chris McDonough pathway into the house, it was just all open. All the windows were open. There was just a clear line of sight.
But I mean,
into
I think
that
there could have
house.
been an advantage for him seeing in the house when he wasn't right there, though. Like, for example, knowing when to leave on the night of the murder when he thought he was being Johnny Smoothcakes and he was just going to go right there, do his thing, and head right back, and didn't know what a sloppy mess he was going to be.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible. But
Johnny
I think
Smoothcakes. Go ahead.
I do think that it was just blatant that anybody who visited that site 12 times prior had an advantage of knowing the patterns of the inhabitants of that house.
Yeah, no, I think that there was definitely there. This is, I was looking for this comment. Mike Applegat says BK couldn't even just to your comment, maybe he had a friend in the police department. It made me think of this comment I read a little bit back. Says BK couldn't even convince people to hang out with him. No way he talked somebody into doing a quadruple unaliving with him. Or no way he had a friend in the force, you know, whatever. I just thought that was a good comment because he was really so socially inept. I mean, I don't think I thought of it as explicitly as that, Mike, but I think that plays into, that's definitely one of the factors in my mind that makes me think that he did this alone.
Agree. And I
Like
believe that
he doesn't play nicely enough with others to have done this with somebody else, you know?
Yeah, good point. They would have never done it right, you know.
And he was rejected, right? from the program of the
the ride along, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, he was.
not a candidate.
No. But just
No.
one more thing to add to his rejection.
Yeah. Man, I just wish he could have
That's a good
accepted
point.
like that he sucks in life and not have had to done this.
Right.
No, Gregory.
Like,
that's a
hey,
good point.
yo, Kohlberger, you just suck. Like, why'd you have to go and do all of this? Like, it's like it's just maddening. Like, your excuse because of your, feeble insecurities, these 4 people lost their lives and there's so much pain and suffering.
Well, to
Mhm.
his credit, I mean, he was a student of the human behavior, and
I am not giving him credit for anything.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to be immature
well,
on that one.
we have to kind of see through his lens to understand what happened here.
I don't
And
like his lens. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I
it's
gotcha.
disturbing. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like his lens either because
Yeah.
it's full of visual snow.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
snow. There was something definitely wrong early on with him, and
sure.
it was just not acknowledged.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and Kelly, you have to wonder, especially with the one sister being in, I don't know exactly what area of mental health she was in, but
Yeah.
you had to wonder if she didn't know there's something really wrong with my brother.
Yeah, I agree
heard
on
that,
that. I think
Gregory.
it's very possible.
I heard that,
Mhm.
Gregory, too, that the sister definitely raised red flags and said,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with my brother. And there are these red flags for these psychopaths. They exist, and people need to be aware of them, because there are people that operate under certain subhuman set of criteria for inhabitants in humanity, that they don't understand humanity. They
Well,
don't
you know what?
understand empathy.
I think sometimes it's that, sure, yes. But I think a lot of the times, I think that on some level, I think a lot of the times we do know the signs. But I think sometimes where things go wrong, I think it's a combination of both, is that people are afraid to say something,
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, it's the people in the families that have access to these individuals, and they don't have access outside of the family unit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't operate on any kind of social level outside of their own, like 2 or 3 people in their immediate family. So it is
Sure.
up to the families to report. And
It is, yeah.
And I admire the sister for taking notice, especially with her area of expertise. And I want to know more about that. Personally.
Yeah, I do too. But then again, it's like, it is their responsibility, and you can kind of have a feeling about them because, they don't say something, but then put yourself in that position. It's just, nobody's going to think that it's their family member that's the next like serial killer.
No, but when they raided the house, I think.
Yeah.
Gregory laughs.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I know.
Sorry, Kelly.
I think that would push me into the.
Yes, when they raided the house, yes. Oh my God, can you just imagine the shock? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
But it's like 1 or 2 people, or 3 or 4, for these just dangerously vindictive and psychopathic individuals.
Yeah.
They exist, and we need to recognize the signs.
Yeah.
And I think
I
the
agree.
signs were there with Koberger.
Oh yeah, for
believe
sure
they
they
were.
were. I mean, in retrospect, super easy to see. Yeah.
We all need to look past that and see the signs in individuals nowadays because
Mm-hmm.
the epidemic is like compounding with social
Oh,
media.
yeah.
It's so easy just to have a social media presence and not have an actual presence in regular
Mm-hmm.
social functions in family or
Mm-hmm.
friends or fraternities or study groups or whatever for that age group. But that is
Yeah.
critical for us
Yeah.
to recognize the signs.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I very much agree. I'm still looking for these motions to seal. I have them somewhere.
Sorry, I've been watching Signs of a Psychopath all day. Well,
Yeah.
I
What
was
have you been
listening
watching?
Signs of a Psychopath on HBO. I was
Oh,
listening to
wow.
it
There you
while
go.
cleaning
That's
my
where you're
house.
coming from. I get it
Yes.
now.
And the Israel Keys, like just all these people with just flat affect and glibness and all of the prototypal characteristics of psychopathy. If you
Oh my
look at the
gosh.
literature, just
Hmm.
bizarre. And we need to recognize that because it's not our fault as family members or friends of these people, but it is our responsibility to recognize these traits in people that we see on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
exist.
definitely.
And they existed
Absolutely.
for Brian Koberger's family. They existed for Ted Bundy's family. They existed for Jeffrey Dahmer's family. They existed for Ed Gein's family.
Mm-hmm.
These
Yeah.
people, and I'm sorry, it's way more male than female, but
Oh, yeah.
they exist on female levels too.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
bizarre that there are these less than human people walking around with all of the makings of human beings. They look human, but they don't operate on the same basis of
Mm-hmm.
morality and empathy that the
Well,
rest of us do.
so the question
Yeah.
I have there is that okay, so we look at the actual, the crime that was committed by BK, but when you look at somebody like Brian Laundrie, would he be
Mm.
capable of carrying out the same type of crime? I mean,
Hmm.
how do you stipulate? I mean, it's like 4 victims to 1, but what kind of rage, anger, revenge, whatever you want to call it, jealousy, did he express? And, Gabby was at the end of it, but what if he had been in a different
Yeah.
situation? Could he have carried out something just as, reprehensible? You wonder.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. That is very interesting. Yeah, that's a really good question. What do you think, DC? Oh, did we lose her?
Oh, I guess we did. I hope she'll come back.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know why. I cannot find hold it. Okay. So Brian Koberger motions to seal evidence. All right, come on, Kel, you can do this. It's like driving me crazy here. All right, search warrant, master copy. What is the master copy? Oh, maybe this is it. Oh, yep. I think I got it. Woohoo! All right. Oh no, that's not it. Oh wait, maybe. Let's see. When did that happen? In February? No. Yes. No. Oh yes. Yes. Okay, wait, hold it. I got it. Okay. Okay. So this is the one for just Walmart. Okay, so I think that okay. For each, okay, so I'm looking up the actual documents, but for each piece of evidence that they sought to to seal or suppress, they had to file a motion. So, okay, so that's not going to be an efficient way of doing it. Okay. So I would just have to look for an article. I don't know. I guess it doesn't even matter anymore. But anyway, my guys went to bed, but Jeannie, I did ask, and that's how I got a message back from them. They don't know about Murphy, but they hope that he's well. Jeannie was asking if they know how Murphy is.
Yeah, Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I understand Murphy is with Jack, right? So we hope that he's well.
I thought that I'd heard that Murphy was with another family member for some reason, but
I'm honestly not sure about
Jack.
it.
Yeah, maybe we can find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm definitely not sure about that, but I would like to know.
I would too, very much
Yeah.
so.
Okay, I think I found the list finally. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Whoops. Hold it. There. Are you guys still there? Are you still there, Gregory?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, my computer just went to sleep or something.
Yeah.
I didn't talk for long enough, or I didn't press a button, or I think for long enough. Criminal complaint, probable cause, order. Let's see. Motion to preserve. Oh my God, there's just so much legal mumbo jumbo, obviously. Whoops. No, don't do that to me. Okay. All right, I think I got it. Notice of appearance, notice of the victim's rights. Okay, I see where you're talking about the notice of the victim's rights. Okay. Yep. So got it. Yeah, you're right. I don't see any Bethany on that. Okay. Whoop. Okay, let's see. Just give me 1 second here. So what else is on your mind, Gregory?
Oh, I mean, just it's interesting because I heard a interesting discussion about it was Law and Crime, I think, that network, and they were talking to a guy about the whole DP part of the prosecution's case. And I never realized that if you're going to pursue that, then the jury pool is considerably more limited because everybody on the jury has to be in favor of.
Oh yeah, they have to be death penalty qualified.
Yeah, they have to be qualified. And that, according to the way this attorney explained it, the prosecution then kind of has a little bit of a leg up, knowing that the jury is for what it is that they're wanting to try and and get through. So
you can say it. You said it. So unless you don't want to say it, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're trying to use YouTube appropriate words. I just got over it at some point. I'm like, they're not going to like this one anyway.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting about the death penalty because I had never really thought about it that way before. But the other point he made is that if you are going for something like that, you also have to weigh the fact that there will be more appeals, and that in the long run, the actual act of carrying that out would be years from the date that it was actually that he was sentenced to that. And do you put the families through that, or do you just go for life in prison, without the chance of parole?
Yeah, and in this case, like let's say, always go back into the Watts case, but in this case, what does that person say? But never mind. I thought you said, did he use a drone instead of, never mind. I'm getting tired. My brain's going crazy. Like in the Watts case, they just, asked the one family their feelings on going for the death penalty or not. In this case, they're going to have 4 different families with, different opinions, and things definitely get much more complicated, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's a good point. So I finally found it, Gregory. Can you believe it? I found this. Geez, I get like fixated on things and I can't let them go. The motion, all of these defense motion to seal various things. So we have, so let me just read some of them. So this all happened, that's right, February 28th. So we have, so the motions then turned into orders. Okay, so then we have the order to seal and redact Amazon, order to seal and redact American Express, order to seal and redact Apple receipt. Next, another Apple receipt, order to seal and redact AT&T record, seal and redact AT&T record, seal and redact Banner Bank, seal and redact Bank of America, seal and redact Blue Ridge Knives, seal and redact Discover Bank, seal and redact Elon Financial Services, seal and redact Idaho Central Credit Union. See how many banks, seal and redact Idaho Department of Labor, seal and redact Numerica Credit Union, seal and redact Potlatch Number 1 Financial Credit Union, seal and redact Umpqua Bank, seal and redact Wells Fargo. Seal and redact Apple again, Apple, more AT&T, seal and redact Block, I don't even know. Seal and redact Coeur d'Alene Police Department Forensics Lab, again, the Forensics Lab, Charter, Dropbox, eBay.
Not.
Yeah. I think there's more. Seal and redact Extreme Network, seal and redact DoorDash, seal and redact Google, Inland Cellular, Moscow Police Department, PayPal, Venmo, Reddit, Snapchat, Match.com, T-Mobile, Verizon Wireless, Meta Platforms. You see what I'm saying? K-Bar Knives Inc., T-Mobile, Umpqua Bank, UPS, Verizon, Walmart, Yahoo, Yik Yak, Match.com a few times. Meta Platforms. I haven't looked into what that is yet. And Google, Verizon Wireless. You get the idea here. Twitter, TikTok. First of all, okay, the amount of data, the amount of evidence that is indicated just by these seal and redact motions that turned into orders is, I don't know what the word is. It's a lot. But then the multiple orders to seal or redact, I think at one point I counted 7 or 8 different financial institutions. And then we've got Verizon, T-Mobile, a cellular company that is native to that area of Washington and Idaho. There was a lot going on here. I think, this is obvious. We've been saying this for a long time. I think there is a lot that we don't know. The more I looked into just those motions and orders, I was like, oh, hell yeah, there is a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
golly. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I don't know if when people, I guess, what made me think about this is, when people are saying it's not him, and I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. I could be wrong now, but I really don't think so about this one. Doubting whether they have the right guy or not. I don't know if we all realize how much data-based evidence there is. There's a shitload.
Yeah, I certainly didn't. In all of that list, Kelly, was Tinder mentioned?
Let's see. Let me do a quick. I know that, I know Match was obviously mentioned a few times. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if Tinder is Tinder under its name or if it would be under, let's see, a different name. Let me go back up and just scan really quick.
Because I'm wondering if they'll call that girl that he went out on the date with
Yeah.
from Tinder.
That was a long time ago, though, wasn't it? I'm not sure, honestly. I wasn't so interested in her, but
sure of the date.
Okay. Well, it was when she was in college, so he was probably in college. So it couldn't have been like too terribly long ago.
Yeah, because it was there wasn't it there at when he was at Washington?
Yeah, it might have been. I'm going to be honest. I just don't really remember much more about that. Oh, and by the way, Meta Platforms Inc. is doing business as Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
Okay. Facebook. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, I knew it was something other than what it, sounded like. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if she will be called. Well, you would think if she was going to be part of a trial, she should now. They probably would know that because it seems like they have that all sewn up, which would mean she would be under the gag order, which would mean she should not have been on the Dateline the other day.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's probably then the answer, that she wouldn't be then.
Yeah, I think so. God, I can't get over this list of.
Yeah.
I just can't. It's just like, I don't, all of the financial institutions. Can anybody explain that to me? I'm going to ask my, the Watts, the Obsession Channel legal consultant, what's up with that? Because like, what's up? That's new to me.
Yeah, there's just a ton of them, aren't there?
Yeah, that's right. Ooh, Doxy, and hi Doxy, welcome. How are you? Says, what about the young girl who reported her car being broken into? Could have been BK. I absolutely think it could have been. He would have been in that area. I mean, that side of the country around then. And, like this girl's car was broken into. I don't know how many are familiar with this, and just some weird things happened. But the weirdest thing was the person went through her luggage, took her luggage out of the car, stood it up in the middle of the street, but took a pair of her panties and put it in the cup holder.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So AC says Murphy is doing great. I'm not sure how AC knows that, but I hope AC is right.
I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody put in the chat, Match Group covers Tinder, Hinge, etc. So
that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Thank
I thought.
you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, AC.
Bunch of smart cookies here, y'all are. Smart cookies.
They are.
Yeah. Okay, so Mike Applegate makes a good point too. People in favor of the D penalty tend to be right-winged, and right-wingers always tend to favor the prosecution. You know what? And guys, that is actually a statistical fact. Good point. So that is something to consider too, when they're choosing to go DP or not. Yeah. Goodness gracious. I'm just going to go through. Thank you so much for coming up, Gregory. And also DC Primetime, even though we lost her a little bit. Thank you guys for coming up. I really appreciate it. I love hearing what you guys have to say. Are you still in Texas?
Yes, I'm here for one more week. I'll be going back first of next week. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I'll be glad to get back to Tennessee. It's hot out here.
Yeah, that's right. Jeez, we got me. You might be right. We've been right down the street from DC. That's her state.
Well, Kelly, thank you. I'll jump down from here.
Oh yeah, thank you for coming up, Gregory. I just appreciate you so much, more than you know.
My pleasure. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Let's see. I'm just finishing up your chat here. Yep, and our guys took off and they said, thank you very much for your questions. A lot of respect to everybody. Thank you for those who are supporting the victims families, and the memory of the victims. It means a lot to them. So that's a message. Yeah. So No Way asked, wasn't that way before Brian was at WSC? And I'm talking about the girl whose car was broken into. I think I have to, honestly, my brain is a little bit like a pudding right now, but I have to go back and look at everything. But I think I thought so at first, but then I was further looking into it. There was a connection where it looked like he was in fact out in Washington, but I'm sorry, I can't be more specific about it right now because I don't want to just spew nonsense. I'll try to get the facts on that and get it out somehow. Oh, yikes. You're really fixated on Buddy, Randy. Randy Hansen asked, does anyone think that the animal hairs found at BK's apartment belonged to Buddy? God, I can't even think about that right now. I'm sorry. I've seen your questions about who did that to Buddy, but and I'm sorry, Randy. I have a hard time even thinking about it. Hey, Sis Vicious, how are you doing? If you're still there, great to see you, honey, as always. Oh, that was just a minute ago. Awesome. Yeah. Oh. I'm sorry you've been unwell, Doxy. That just caught my eye. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, Bundy data. You just keep putting out the evidence against him. I love that. That's great. I can't. I'm trying to like catch up or connect your conversations here in chat, but I'm having a hard time with it. Okay, I don't know. Like somebody will respond to somebody, then I'll scroll back up to see what they said, and then I can't find it. So, because like, here's the example. And Ruler says to Jima, I hadn't thought of that, but do feel peeps were there distracting 2 at a time. Maybe Xana ordered food at 2 for 4 a.m. delivery. So scrolling up to see what Jima said, but it must have been way up there because I couldn't find it with 10 seconds of scroll. Yes, whoever did that to Buddy is still out there. Yikes, unless it was in fact him. But I remember at one point, Randy, were you the person who made this point? Is it more terrifying that there's somebody out there who did this to the Idaho 4? And there's also someone out there who did this to Buddy, the dog, or that they are the same person, right? It's just real ugly. No matter how you, look at that one. So there we go. Hello. So yeah. All right, guys, I got to get going. Holy cow. It's like really late. This went so much longer than I was wanting to, just because I have to work in the morning, but it's good. I'm good. So, yeah. So, hey, guys, please do hit like on the way out. I really very much appreciate it. It's all we ask. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you so much, moderators. I really appreciate you. I know that I made a special request for you guys all to be here tonight if you could. And I really appreciate that you were here. I just wanted to make sure everyone stayed respectful and all that stuff. In chat, especially with the boys answering questions. And yeah, just thank you for everything. Yeah. Aw, I love this message from Rosie. You're such a sweetheart, Rosie. Where'd it go? Oh, let's see. Then a bunch of people say something and it got bumped. Ah, there you go. So she says, thank you, Kelly. Take care, everyone. Feel your personal best. Stay safe. Lock all your doors and windows. Choose kindness, please. Aw, a special thank you to all the mods, too, for your hard work. I agree with that. And what a great message, Rosie. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Aw. Poor Buddy, I'm staying in PA. I know. But Joan, they got him over here where we are. I know. Oh, man. Aunt Flex, it's always great to see you, honey. Are you still moderating for our other friend channel? I have not been over there in so long. I haven't been on any channel in so long. Things are just crazy. So what does this mean, G? I wish they would stop saying hurtful. Okay. I wish they would stop saying hurtful things to upset families. It's crazy. These channels you mentioned upset me daily. I understand. Yeah, thank you so much, moderators. You're just all wonderful. Suspicious coming in at the end. Yeah, thank you for your questions. Tell it to Elle. Thank you for those who helped me to find that Chronicle of Olivia video. I just want to put that issue to rest. It's driving me nuts. It's driving them nuts. And now I can just say, hey, just here, go to this video, listen to their words, you know, I can save my breath. So thank you. Presser Gang, I saw you a while ago. Hi, it's always wonderful to see you here. So, all right. Didn't know Hillary was speaking. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So yeah, everybody stay safe. Continue to be respectful to one another and take care of yourselves and those that you love, but most of all yourselves. We all need to take care of ourselves a little more, don't you think? And let me just, in closing, hope everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day, and please remember the victims of this horrible crime.